Home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Good morning. Thought I'd help you wake up.
It's 6 a.m., and you're listening to The John Kincade Show, Philadelphia's longest-running sports talk morning show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Let the party begin!
The show starts now.
Yes, it does. 6 a.m. hour of the John Kincade Show, brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White here for the pro. And I don't believe that it's going to be a real good early morning for a lot of Philadelphians because there were a lot of people partying down in South Philly last night. There are a lot of people cleaning up in Center City, Philly, and there's a lot of people celebrating still. The Phillies going to another Red October, which will commence next Tuesday, next Wednesday, guaranteed third game Thursday, if necessary, based on last night's victory. And in case you missed it, Johan Rojas, a guy who has been making an impact and trying to, I guess, say to the Phillies organization, I want to be your center fielder next year. He delivered at one of the most important parts in extra innings with a chance to send the Phillies to the postseason.
Bednar is one of the best closers in the game. His ERA is 2.07. This is obviously not a save situation, but he's trying to save the 10th inning for the Pirates. Bouncer back toward the middle, leaking into center field, a base hit. Pache's coming home. The throw to the plate, not in time. The Phillies are going back to the postseason. The rookie Johan Rojas with an RBI single here in the bottom of the 10th inning. They win it 3-2. Back-to-back appearances in the postseason.
Marvelous call by Tom McCarthy on NBC Sports Philadelphia as the Phillies advance to the postseason. And, Bob, I don't know if it's appropriate or not. Like, does it make sense that Rojas is the one that sent them? I was convinced that Harper was going to do something like to get the flame lit in the ninth inning when they had a chance to be able to advance. But for Rojas to do it, it sort of summarizes a very unlikely this season's story. To me, is still very unlikely. Like all the different things that happened, how it happened, it's still a very unlikely story, but it ends up where everybody wanted it to end up, in an October baseball team.
Yes, it does, and good on him. I'm really comfortable with him being your starting center fielder. They talked about it on the game last night at the beginning. This might be the team that you see from the most part of the playoffs where you have Martian left, and it gives you a really good outfield, a defending outfield, which is nice.
I think you need that.
Yeah, you probably do.
Shaky pitching at times, so you need a good outfield. You need good defense.
Yeah, and defense is key. Look, pitching and defense is still going to be a key of pretty much any championship run that you might make, and we saw it last year, and we saw what Houston did last year with their pitching and how good their bullpen was, and it took them past the Phillies to the World Series championship. So that's kind of what you need. It's going to be interesting how this outfield plays out, but for now, I'm real comfortable with left center, Marsh and Rojas, and 8 and 9, Marsh and Rojas.
And Castellanos, Pat, a guy who last year was a disaster until late in the year when he made like 3 or 4 defensive plays that made everybody's jaw drop, and then he worked on his defensive game. The only right fielder without an error, I believe. He's got no errors. I mean, he is a guy that has totally worked on that part of his game. All of a sudden, defense in the outfield may actually become a strength for this team.
Yeah, I think it probably is. If you put, Pache is a really, really good fielder. You look at Marsh if you put him in left field, and then Rojas has got Gold Glove ability in center field. Yeah, it could very well be a strength. And yeah, credit to Nick Castellanos, who wasn't brought here and paid for his glove, and he worked his ass off on it. And it's become a non-issue. You don't even think about it.
We don't even think about it.
No, I mean, the guys like him and Bohm a year ago were liabilities in their field, and now it's just, ball goes to them, and we don't even think about, oh, my God, the fear-mongering that would take place a year ago. So, and it's a credit to them for working on their defense when they're offensive players.
Absolutely. I mean, and two, I look back on it and I say, when I would criticize Castellanos' defense last year, maybe it was too harsh because of the fact that he wasn't expected to play there.
No,
He
not
wasn't.
really.
He probably hadn't worked excessively on it, and now he has, and he's exceptional at it.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch.
We oftentimes forget how good athletes these guys are. And people, I love it when people, Kyle Schwarber, he's a short little fat guy. Yeah?
Really?
Yeah. You take Kyle Schwarber out in the back and you look at him, man, there ain't no short little fat guy
No.
there. That guy will beat the hell out of you. Like, he's as strong as an ox. These guys are really good athletes. And Castellanos, you can just tell he is. And a little work on it in right field, something where he didn't envision being as Bryce Harper signed here until, the world ends. Like, you didn't think that was going to happen. But, God, as you said, John, God bless him for saying, okay, I got to get it and I got to get after it. And this is part of what I told. I'm so glad that you brought it up. He made 3 great plays in the playoffs last year.
Exceptional.
We talked last year, come hell or high water, whatever happened last year, and it just so happened to be a World Series run, to that Phillies team at that time, they were getting a lot of valuable lessons from the Stotts, from the Bohms, from the younger pitchers, from the older pitchers who hadn't even been in playoffs. You were picking up a lot of great experience there, and I think it's going to do nothing but help them this year.
Well, if you look at what last year's postseason provided, I still think of that Bryson Stott. Was it like 11 pitch at bat or something in the Braves game that got things rolling that then ended up culminating in some amazing, amazing moments. That clutch atmosphere that he created. Alec Boehm came of age last year in the postseason, and it carried over to this year for both of them. They both are different players than they were last regular season. And Boehm may be one of their most clutch guys, and Stott may be one of their most consistent guys that they've had this year. There were cornerstones, and earlier in the year we were really bragging on Marsh. But even last night, with an 0 for 17 on the line, Brandon Marsh comes through with a solo home run, and I wouldn't be shocked if in the postseason Brandon Marsh comes up with a hit or 2 that helps this team be able to try to advance. So it's amazing all the different pieces that are coming together. And then we come to the pitching staff. And I think 2 out of 3 of us maybe feel a little differently this morning about Aaron Nola. But Pat, I do not want to assume, but I have a feeling that you may think a little bit differently this morning or not. Did he sway you at all? That's good performances.
Yeah, he was incredible. He did exactly what you said he would, John.
I thought he pitched 6
and shut down the Pirates and really put them in a position to win that game without Aaron Nola. If you get a typical Nola start this season, you don't win that game. And he went out there and just shut him down and said, "We're doing this tonight." So big credit to him. Do I have faith in him going forward? No, still no.
Well, you're not going to face the Pirates and the Mets in the postseason.
Kind of, why I don't.
Those kind of teams aren't in the postseason.
Look, it goes back to kind of what I said yesterday with the Eagles. They're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. If he doesn't go out there and shut down the Pirates, I'm complaining. Right. And he gets hammered, and then he does it, and I'm sitting here going, well, it's just the Pirate. But you needed him last night to go out there and give you that performance. Not only for himself and the confidence level, but for the team to clinch last night and not carry this over another day. And I thought he goes out there and puts them in a position too, the bullpen, to save a couple arms.
You got a week of rest.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't fault you for your trepidation at all. It's deserved.
Either do I.
It's warranted.
He earned it.
Totally agree. And the last 2 outings that you guys talked about, you bring up the opponents. You have to do that also. The only thing that I'll say is, and I'm not trying to be Joe Optimism here, what I'll say is the way he was pitching those last 2 games. Like the way the announcers were talking about it. He's getting over the top on his curveball where now it's sinking to the feet as opposed to when he struggles, it sinks to the knee. And therefore it's kind of hanging and boom,
Absolutely.
That's where you're giving up the things. It's the way he was pitching. I understand the hitters he's going against. But it seemed to be different according to the experts that are there all the time, and it looked different. You could see Real Muto catching that knuckle curve, the way he had to snap his arm to catch it like on a backhand sweep. I think his stuff, I'll just say it that way, his stuff has looked pretty legit the last 2 outings.
Did you think the umpiring was really bad last night behind home plate? I think there was like a lot of calls that both pitchers, I think we're just getting, had to be shaking their head going, well, what's a strike? Because sometimes they were getting the low strike call. They weren't getting it. Then they're getting it. And Tom McCarthy and John Kruk and Ruben Amaro talked about it on the broadcast. It was great to hear that last night. Classic call by McCarthy sending them to the postseason. I heard the radio call this morning on ESPN Radio, and it was absolutely awesome too. Fransky doing just a classic job on that too. We're really blessed again. This is a really good team to me though that has a really strange story, because I don't think this year went like any one of us sort of thought it would. I don't remember any of us. The number being different. We're all going to get close to the number of what we thought this team would be. I thought they'd be a 92-win team. But this story of this team is very, very different, because last year I had more confidence in the pitching. This year, as they head to the postseason, I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect. Can they get hot? Can they go on a roll? Can this team do something unexpected once again? I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of baseball, okay? Where's the Houston Astros right now?
They're a half game from missing the playoffs.
Yeah, they're 20 games behind their win total of last year right now.
They had 106 last year, right?
106 or at 86 right now. I mean, they went to the World Series. They won it. Maybe there's something real about that. The Phillies started 25-32 and are pretty outstanding since that. Maybe there is that World Series hangover that we've talked about, Super Bowl hangover. You know, we're going through it with the Eagles right now a little bit. We'll get into a little bit more later. You know, are you satisfied with the outings and all that? There's something real to playing late into a season. And I don't know if the effects of it, some teams don't show it. Well, probably many more teams do show it.
Especially when like with the Astros and their situation, they've been playing a lot of postseason baseball the last couple of years.
They really have.
You know, it really adds up to, on some of these guys, like half a season at this point. You know, when you add all the games in, it takes a toll on you. And eventually it catches up to you. So, they trade for Verlander, and that's great. And he's pitched really well for him. But he's like 40 years old, and he's another guy that's been pitching deep into the postseason for them. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward with, who ends up kind of rising to the top, and if it's in one of these established teams like the Astros or the Dodgers, or one of these newer teams.
I think about how many times between 2007, which was just 3 games, games against the Rockies, and then you play 8, you go the full thing, you win it all. Then you play 9, you go the World Series again, you go 6 games in that. Then 2010, 2011, and I wonder about the mileage if that played into 2011. As far as that with the Astros right now. But right now, look, with the Phillies, I think it's an unlikely story. I believe if I told you how Wheeler, even though Wheeler's numbers don't reflect, I think, that he's been pretty good to me, and maybe even very, very good. I wonder about if we would have thought, if I told you Nola's numbers, if I told you what Suarez did and how much time he missed, if I told you that Taijuan Walker, what he was going to be, if we would have thought that they would have reached the goals that we thought they would have on opening day. Looking back.
Yeah, it's weird because of the struggles that they have had. But there's also been enough. I can't say enough. With Nola, there hasn't been enough glimpses of his good pitching that you can be confident going in the playoffs. You can be happy that he's had 2 good outings now. But like I said to Pat, I'm not going to, sit here and lie and say I don't understand why you don't have confidence in him. It's understandable. But there has been good that has been shown by this team. And I have a subject I want to get into later about it. But there has been enough shown by this team in pretty much every area that there is reason for hope. Maybe even more than hope, John. I
want you to hear what Rob Thompson had to say in the clubhouse afterwards, in case you missed it, from NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Congratulate all of you. What an unbelievable team you have. And this is just the start. This team is built for where we're going. To get there is the tough part. Now we got to finish this thing off. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have overcome a lot of things. This is the most resilient team I've ever been around, and that plays big in the playoffs. Okay? Get your rest. Come in late tomorrow. Party hard tonight. The last thing, JT, how many more playoffs?
Got 13 wins!
That was a nice moment, and Rob Thompson summed it up. I think he did. But I want to talk about it when we return. He says this team is built for October. I want to question that a little bit and see if it really is. And do we agree on all aspects of them being built for October? We'll get to some of that. Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station. So please do that. We'll hear from Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Rob Thompson, and more. Plus, is this team really built for October? You want to get in with us? You can. Celebrate a little early on your ride to work. 610-632-0975. It's the John Kincade Show here on 90.
On your smartphone, Roku, LG Smart TV, Waze, and more. That's Odyssey, AUDACY. Check it out now. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
You know, when you open the BetParx app, you're right in the zone. Your chance to win all day with all-day action. New users win on your first $10 bet. If you win, you get $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. You bet Parks. Must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Everybody's celebrating a Red October this morning, where Tuesday and Wednesday you will have games at Citizens Bank Park. And just looking ahead, Bob, I know sometimes you don't like to look ahead. That weather forecast looks amazing for the start of Red October, so which is always good.
Sweet.
We don't want fans sitting in that Game 4, what was that, Game 5 rainstorm.
Oh, yeah.
When Harper hit the home run, which was pretty amazing. Rob Thompson says last night after the victory, he said this team, and we heard the soundbite earlier, this team's built for October. If you were to say what wins in October, what wins in October? I think starting pitching, maybe dominant bullpen. Pat, I may put dominant bullpen ahead of starting pitching. Maybe.
Oh.
Because you can mix and match but I mean, look,
I'd put starting pitching head down at bullpen, but man, it was demoralizing getting to the Astros bullpen last year.
It was terrible.
If you didn't have a lead, it sucked.
So, Bob, if you were to put that list together, I then ask you, you've watched the 2023 Phillies, and I don't want to hear about last October what they did. I want to hear about this year's team. Is this team built for October?
Well, it's weird because they're still trying to figure this team out, aren't they? Like last night in game, what is it, 158, 156,
something like that,
something?
yes.
We have the announcers telling us we think this is the starting outfield that the Phillies will go with in the playoffs.
We never would have guessed it.
We have your closer from all season long now coming in, just starting last week, now coming in the 8th inning to give way to another closer that you're going to put in there now in the 9th inning. You brought a kid up who's been all through the minor league system this year to pitch 12 pitches, 3 batters, and has his manager saying yesterday that, yeah, I've seen enough that he's probably going to make the postseason roster and be a part of our bullpen. So that's just the bullpen. Now, and the, starting outfield or whatever. So you still have question marks about Nola. I have less question marks about Wheeler. I'm pretty confident.
I don't have any. Yeah, I don't think I have any that he can at least be competent.
Yeah, we're still juggling around who their third starter is going to be. So delivering the team to October, yeah, it's a raking team. This team can hit. But as I said before, I don't care if you give me a little league, high school, American Legion, college, pro team. Pitching and defense is what's going to win you.
Pat, do you believe this team is truly built for October? More importantly, why? Because it's hard.
It's hard for me to imagine that a 162-game season, it's like, yeah, we're not built for that. We're built for this short stretch. I think ultimately October is going to come down to what team gets hot. Now they're a wild card team, and I do think that the long layoff could really impact the Braves in a negative way.
I think we saw it last year. It did.
I think
believe
we did
it
too, and they clinched earlier this year. So, but are they built for the playoffs? I've heard it. I don't necessarily believe it, but if they can get some pieces right, then yeah, it would add credence to it. Like if Kerkering can come in and all of a sudden be this October spark plug, a la Jobber Chamberlain with the Yankees back in 2010.
That's a good poll.
Yeah, that would be huge for this bullpen. I mean, you add 1 or 2 guys into the bullpen, and it makes you feel a lot better about the situation. Well, they're doing that. They're putting Sanchez in the bullpen, you'd think. They're putting Michael Lorenzen in the bullpen. They're putting Kerkering in the bullpen, who we've seen 12 pitches of. So if you put those guys in the bullpen and 2 of them pan out, you're kind of in a better spot than you were. You literally just need starting pitching. If you don't get starting pitching, then you have faith in your lineup, which is deep as hell.
It is.
So
do you think there's a lot of lineups that are deep, though?
In October,
that we're going to face, right?
In October, yeah, probably.
Sure.
That's the thing. I mean, you're going to end up facing. I mean, the Braves lineup is stacked.
Yes.
The Dodgers lineup is pretty stacked.
Yes.
the Phillies aren't outliers in that sense, but it's just a matter of like you need to get the timely hits. And baseball is all about who's peaking at the right time, and right now the Phillies seem to be peaking.
Thompson talks after the game. Rob Thompson is celebrating the fact that this team, there's one word for it, and that's resilient.
As I said to them in the post-game toast, this is the most, and we were resilient last year. This club is unbelievable. They are tough. They play till the end. They play every out, and they're together. You can see how they are here. They actually love each other, and that's what gives us everything that we have right now.
All right, Bobby, do you trust that explanation?
I don't mind it. There's something to this team that's different that a guy like Rob Thompson in 40-plus years of Major League Baseball sees and can put his hands around and says, these guys really like it. We can talk about the celebration and stuff.
Sure.
Hey, let that be a motivating factor for you. You like to celebrate. You love each other. They look to be pretty good at that celebration thing. They have a manager that blesses it and tells them to party as hard as you can and be back ready to work tomorrow as best you can.
As best you can.
Embrace it. Yeah, what the hell? Embrace it. This is an unorthodox team for all the reasons that you laid out earlier and we've been laying out most of this morning. That's okay. Sometimes unorthodox gets you places that they did it last year. It happened with the 93 Phillies. Maybe this team, which is even better, I think, than last year, the unorthodox style, becomes a routine of playoff success.
I'm going to be floored if this team doesn't win the wild card series. I will be absolutely surprised if that doesn't happen. And then, as I've said before, you're playing the Braves. You now are locked into that. You know it's Atlanta. If you win, you advance. It's Atlanta. There's no other option. To me, I do believe if you go to Atlanta and win one of the first two games, the series will not go back to Atlanta. That's the confidence that I have in them if things break right for them. But I got to tell you, I'm concerned about even a first-round series this year where last year was hope they can win. This year they're supposed to win. But I got a lot of questions, especially if it's the Diamondbacks. And it looks like the Diamondbacks, that was a soul-crushing loss last night. If you haven't seen the video, the Cubs lose on a dropped fly ball by, was Kurt Suzuki in right field?
No, Seiya
Suzuki in right field. And they lose a game that they were winning 6-0 and they lose 7-6. That's one of those soul-crushing losses, I think, that might end up even keeping them out. Now they open the door for the Marlins to be able to sneak in. So we've got a lot of Diamondbacks bother me. Something about them bothers me. Pat, you...
Though they bother you because they have one of the best pitchers in the game, and
yes.
Zach Allen. But if he... and I don't know, you're really good at looking ahead, but...
I am.
Does he have to pitch?
Yes, he has to pitch Friday.
Then I feel way better about the situation.
Well,
I mean,
their magic number is 4. Okay? They play at the White Sox the next 2 nights, and then the Cubs are playing at the Braves. The Marlins have 3 games in that time at the Mets. So they're most likely, I don't believe they will have clinched, by that time. Yeah. So Zach Gallen will have to pitch on Friday night. And if he has to pitch Friday, he cannot pitch until game 2 unless they would start him on 3 days rest. And I don't think they would do that. I don't believe they would do that. They might. But the thing is, if you could get them to Saturday, they have to go Gallen and Kelly. So you would have Gallen in game 2. Kelly potentially ready for a game 3. He wouldn't be ready to go in game 1 or game 2, it would appear.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
This is critical. You need the Diamondbacks. You need the Diamondbacks to lose to the White Sox, and you need the Cubs to, win a game.
And the White Sox aren't a very good team.
No, they're not. They're not playing for anything.
Yeah, but you know what? Neither are. I mean, the Braves kind of are, but I feel like they've put enough gap that they're going to lock up the number 1 seed no matter what.
Yes.
So they're kind of not really playing for much. I mean, yeah, the Diamondbacks scare me more than any team that's been mentioned in coming into Philly, but I think I said it yesterday. I'm not scared of any team in the wild card round coming in.
Is it scared or is it the healthy respect?
Healthy respect. I have a healthy respect for the Look, they have the rookie of the year coming in Corbin Carroll is the first player in MLB history to have 25 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a season. He's a stud. Zach Allen's really good. Local kid Christian Walker's Gold Glove at first base. They have a lot of talent on their team, but I just think any, whether it be Cubs, Marlins, Diamondbacks, anybody can come in here and just leave with the loss because I just don't think they're ready for it.
Yeah, my concern goes to none other than the Phillies. They've been such a matchstick team this year. You light them and boom, they're going really well, and then it goes out for a little while, and you're wondering, all right, where did it go? I mean, are you going to start getting the power surge again from Kyle Schwarber? Like, I think you need to see a couple maybe before the playoffs start. Trey Turner, is he okay? Is he fully back? All of that. Harper, I'm not concerned with. Bohm just went through like an 0 for 16 or 18 slump. Is Stott there, which he's been consistent also. Real Muto at home has been horrible. Been really good on the road. Castellanos, who was probably their offensive MVP for most of the year, is now hitting 7th. So like these are the questions that I need. I don't care about Arizona, Chicago, all that much.
You just care about what the Phillies
I really do, John, and I don't mean to be that, but I do.
I understand it.
If I was solidified that this team was really good hitting, really good pitching, all that, then I can look at the opponent and say, ooh, where's the matchups here and there? But I can't because, like I said, this matchstick of a team has been like so hot and cold, so hot and cold, so hot and cold. What are we getting come playoff time?
Now we'll find out. Nick Castellanos talked about this team is doing something that I found a little strange that he said this. Listen up.
I think we have a beautiful group of guys that are unbelievably talented. I think there's a lot of strong character, and I think that we're understanding like how to win each and every year, and it's fun to be a part of.
When you hear about like sort of like understanding how to win, I thought last October sort of, at least in my mind, seeing what Stott and Bohm did this year, seeing what Marsh did this year, I think he took a step forward in his development too. To me, I think last year's October taught them a lot of lessons. It's some of the veterans that I have questions about with the way that 2023 went going into this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably your most consistent players were the Stotts and the Bohms.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, the younger guys. You just hope that the older guys round back into form, much like I just described. Find the way you were going during your hot streak, your extended hot streaks. Schwarber's got to have that. He's got to get that home run surge again. And maybe it'll come as simple as one more home run down the stretch, and boom, he found it. But he's getting on base. And Trey Turner, I have the utmost confidence. Harper. So there you go. First three are your order. And now you're starting to like, okay, this is what it's about. Hitting's going to be key for this team. But key in meaning by me, it has to be consistent because I don't know if you're pitching, whether it be starting or bullpen, and your defense can be as consistent as maybe your hitting can be.
If they can get out there and hit consistently, then they're
going to be fine.
Golden. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, and
they'll be in every series.
Yes. And I mean, it's crazy to me because, Bobby, you just laid out the lineup. You've got Castellanos sitting 7th. It's like that kind of speaks to how deep their lineup is. I know last segment we were talking about how pretty much every lineup is deep, but this team is really laden with like a lot of vets, guys who have been there before, than younger players who got valuable, deep experience last year. If they can just put the pieces together at the right time, then we could be in for another deep October run.
Are they built for October? If you want to share a thought, you can. It's 610-632-0975. Kyle Schwarber, who felt you could just see a lot of joy in his eyes as he celebrated going to the postseason again.
Like I always said, to go back, you never take this stuff for granted. There's going to be a lot of players in this game that don't even make the postseason. So it's an accomplishment within itself. To play 162 games and to be one of the last teams that are going to be playing baseball for a championship, that's what it's all about.
Did this team meet expectations, come close to expectations, or fall below your expectations? I've got my answer.
Well, you can have your answer. Because your answer, like with the Sixers, you say your expectations regular season doesn't count.
No. I'm talking about the 162. Your 162, I expected a cleaner 162. I expected a more polished team, a more consistent team. But I said 92 wins. They're sitting at 88. It's like I expected this path. I expected a straight drive on 95 North, where you get like a 6-mile stretch where it's just straightforward, no winding, whatever. Whereas they took a very circuitous route. Maybe they took ways, but they might end up exactly where I thought they would end up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me, though, because I don't feel the same about it. Like when you're looking at it going, because I expected a cleaner team. I expected a more just polished team than we saw this year.
I'll say I don't know baseball well enough as to the intricacies of how do you get to 90 wins. But if you predict 90 wins, then I'm going to say, yeah, they met my expectations. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's not easy. Like Schwarber just said, it's not easy to win 90 games. It's not easy to get into the playoffs, let alone do it back-to-back years. So all of those things that we talked about, it's an accomplishment. And I like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that the way they got there, I should know more about. I'll just say that the fact that they got there has met my expectations. Look, and this is weird. You ready? 11%. You know what that is?
It's 11%.
That's how many times the Philadelphia Phillies organization has made the playoffs in their history. 139 years, 15 times. 11% of the time they get to the playoffs. So how, why, where they get there, we should just celebrate probably.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is when you make the postseason, it is worth as a fan base celebrating it big time and just saying, hey, what a great accomplishment. But now, though, Pat, last year where we had no expectations and we got on that plane to Arizona.
Yeah.
This year we have expectations. That makes for a different October for me.
For me, my expectation, though, is win the wild card round.
Yeah, exactly.
But I expect them to do that. But to answer your question, I mean, I've noticed that with baseball, I feel like rarely when you have a situation like this where you're expecting the team to be pretty good, you expect to make the postseason, you do your win total. Rarely do you get to the finish line of the regular season and you go, man, that's how I expected it to go down. I mean, Facebook has a thing, Facebook memories where you can see what you were tweeting or putting up, years ago.
Right.
And in the glory days in 2010 and 11, like they would be on a 3-4 game losing streak and I'm acting like the sky's falling. And that team would go on and win 90-something games and win 100 games and then win the division. And that's exactly where I expected them to be. I expected them to be a wild card team. I thought they could contend for the division, but I expected them to be a wild card team because the division I thought going in was really deep with the Braves and the Mets. Now the Mets ended up being the Mets, and that was cool to watch. But the Braves are the best team in baseball, and they end up the number one wild card seed. I have no problem with it. Did it get to where I probably thought it was going to be with the pitching? No, but ultimately you're right. Like it's probably win total wise where we thought they were going to be. It's hard for me to go, all right, it's hard to predict exactly how a 162-game baseball season is going to go. So
yeah, I mean, if you did that, is that like you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Braves. I would think they pretty much, even though the Braves started 3 rookies in their rotation this year, brought up 3 rookies to start games and to carry them through as their rotation, by the way, now with Charlie Morton out, taking a hit. Things are starting to potentially smell a little bit.
If you're the Braves, like let's take a step back. If you're the Braves at the beginning of the season, you're a Braves fan, you got bounced by the Phillies the way you did. Then you see the Phillies load up in the offseason with Trey Turner. You see the Mets load up in the offseason by getting Verlander. You probably weren't predicting 100 win season,
wins,
right?
no,
like you were probably
no.
going, this is going to be a dogfight. Mets fans, same thing. They stepped in it again. So even them, they were probably pleasantly surprised with the 100-win season that they had because they were at the beginning of the season, they're probably going, holy crap, like the team that beat us just got better. And the team that we finished third, they got better. But, it's 162 games. It's tough to predict.
And then think of how many Braves fans out there, the success of the Braves this season. There's probably thousands upon thousands of them that feel the same way we do about the 76ers. Yeah, who cares? Regular season, who cares?
Oh, no, that is
something in the damn
case.
Playoffs. I know you had a World Series a couple years ago, but we're talking about like 30 years of this where they're one of the best teams in baseball and you have one World Championship. So they're probably more frustrated than we are excited about the Phillies getting to the playoffs for the second straight year.
They don't like seeing the Phillies in that top wild card. And I know it firsthand. They do not like it. And let's hope that uncomfortable nature carries over by the Phillies going out and taking care of business in that first round. We will take your call, too, if you want to get in at 610-632-0975. It's a short week for the Eagles as they get ready for Washington coming in this Sunday. But, boy, there are a lot of great indicators that tell you Sunday afternoon could be a fun party at the Link. We'll talk about some of that coming your way next. It's the John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. You know, when fall comes around, it's not the time to quit on your lawn maintenance.
home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
You're celebrating this morning. You're waking up with a little extra bounce in your step. John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Because you know that next Tuesday and Wednesday, you've got Red October happening in your backyard at Citizens Bank Park. Who the Phillies
Welcome to the party.
Love that. Who the Phillies will play, we do not know yet. That will be determined over the next few days, but we are relentlessly Chicago White Sox fans over the next 2 days. It could literally change the path for the Phillies by having Gallen and Kelly have to pitch Friday and Saturday. So
It'd be huge.
you really need we need the White Sox to win at least one of those games, if not two. That would be great. So we'll see if they can pull that off for us. But 7 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show is coming up. It'll be brought to you by the all-new Bet Parks app, which is a sports book and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. It was 0-0 last night. I went on the money line, and Pat, I went with the run line. I didn't go with the money line. I went with the run line, the -1.5.
I probably would have done the same thing.
I thought the bats were going to explode, and they just never did last night. So, but hey, you win, you lose, you have a lot of fun with the betting apps. All right, it looks like it's going to be a great weekend and a beautiful weekend, by the way, after some really crappy weather that we've had. By the way, nice that the weather comes back nice when you guys come home, because while you were gone, I'm telling you, that was the worst streak of weather that we've had since I moved home. That you guys leave town, and it was atrocious.
Somebody did ask me at the game, like, "Oh, how you liking the weather?" And I was like, "If you saw the weather in Philly, you'd know that I'm loving this weather."
It reminded me of I had a business deal once where I had to spend like 2.5 months closing a deal in Seattle, and I would have to go to Seattle like every other week and spend like 2 days, 3 days. I hated Seattle. Hated it because it was so glum. It was so rainy when I was there. And every time I ever went, it seemed like that's what it was. That's what it was for us. Terrible. It was terrible.
I feel for you because we woke up. It was dark out, but you could hear the waves splashing.
Yes.
When we were in the middle of the show and the sun did come up, we could see the water and people doing water things out there.
Doing water things.
Boats and fishing and people catching stuff and, swimming and frolicking.
Frolicking.
So,
Jeez, man.
Wait a minute.
I feel
you tell me
E-Rock
was frolicking?
Yeah, E-Rock and Vince Rizzuto from Philly Sports Trips were skipping down the street at like 5 o'clock. I left the hotel to go work.
Frolicking.
And they're frolicking around. I was like, what? I asked them actually, like, I thought they were, enjoying some adult beverages. I said, what are you guys doing? Stone cold sober. They just said, we're just frolicking.
We're frolicking. That's what you do when you're with Philly Sports Trips.
Yeah, you frolic.
Clearwater Beach brings out the frolicker in you. So we saw quite a bit of that. But there is something pretty cool to watching people start their day in a beach town.
I can imagine. And the thing is, sunrise to me always. And you love the sunrise.
Oh, yeah. Love the sunrise. But, these people that get out there, with their flip-flops and everything like that and get started early in the morning and they're, unloading seafood and all that stuff. I just love it. I do love the beach towns. And they do it all year round.
Let me give you some great news to start your Eagles week. And I know it's Wednesday, and usually we would be into this by Tuesday starting to talk about it, but we have a short week this week. They are facing a quarterback this weekend. And I can just tell you, Sam Howell is a statue or a quarterback that is not showing that he has instincts. Here's the numbers. He has already been sacked 19 times this season. But here's the number for you. Only 10 of those sacks are attached to a blocker missing their assignment. So he has either run into or held the ball too long or caused 9 of the 19 sacks. That is, he has been pressured 48 times this season. But the O-line has been attributed just 26 pressures and 11 hurries. So that means Sam Howell is holding on to the ball too long, feeling antsy, doesn't know where to go with it, and then he is either running into sacks, walking into sacks, or just being a statue and getting tortured. Here is the thing. This sort of draws a line in the sand. This is the weekend where, as Pat's been calling for, Bob's been calling for, and I've been calling for it, this is the weekend that the defensive line has to eat. And the edge rushers have to eat. This is one where I don't want to hear on Monday, well, we're just coming into our own. We're figuring out things. This is a team that has already been dominated by Jonathan Gannon's patchwork defense, has already been just eaten alive by the Bills, and you're supposed to be a comparable team to the Bills. You better take care of Sam Howell this weekend. And no excuses. This should be a weekend where you dominate a guy like Sam Howell.
Well, it's funny the way you say it, and we all said it. The defensive line has to eat and all that. I was listening to Jeff Saturday overnight, who I like. I like Jeff Saturday on ESPN. I think he gives a great perspective of the game as from a player and good analytics and all. And he said, man, and I think he was talking directly to us Philadelphia Eagles fans. Man, for you guys to be upset that they're 3-0 in the way that they are absolutely beating people up with both lines in the football, meaning offensive and defensive line, he goes, I don't know what to tell you, man. As a former player, that's exactly what you want. And the way he said it to me, it was the equivalent of you being a fan of a boxer, of a heavyweight boxer, and he's not knocking people out in the first round, but he's winning the fight eventually, and you're getting ticked off by it. And
well, that's because Pat bet it.
And it's understandable. I'm not putting it down. It's understandable. We're all looking for that home run punch or whatever it may be. But the numbers aren't showing, I think, to me, what the domination defensively. Offensively, they are because of the way you're running the football. But defensively, I don't think the numbers are showing the domination that they are actually putting forth.
Okay, Pat, I hear that from Bob, and I sort of want to embrace it completely. But I need to see numbers on Monday. And if I don't see numbers and they win 27-17 and they don't get enough, they don't really sack him and they don't really get enough, to me, that's not going to be enough. I want to see this team. Well, they've been giving up sacks left and right.
You want to see it so that you know that when they do play the good teams that it's still in there. I do think that it brought me a little bit of positivity yesterday when we were discussing it, and a couple of the callers brought up like maybe Desai simply just keeping it back because he doesn't want to show his hand. I like that idea, but yeah, this Washington offensive line and Sam Howell is privy to getting hit. So I want to see it too. I want to see a breakout game from Hassan Reddick. I feel like I've been calling for that for 3 straight weeks.
Sure.
But if ultimately they come out and they look the part, and maybe it's simply they get 2 sacks, but they look like they had Sam Howell uncomfortable all day, I'll say I'm happy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I
want to say I'm happy.
We'll be happy at 4-0.
I'm happy.
But I mean, it's the idea is that this is a weekend where this would be the carbon absolutely copy of what you would want for an Eagles opponent that they should dominate. And they did last year, and they should do it again. Their offensive line is trending, by the way, worse than it was through 2 weeks last year when they dominated them in week 3. You play them in week 4 this year, the offensive line is trending worse.
Yeah,
and part of that is Sam Howell. He's even playing at a lower level of awareness than Carson Wentz was about the rush.
Yeah, I would be surprised if you didn't get the sack total up about, the 5 area and
like
maybe even more.
Yeah.
But, you have to take into account teams know this is a Super Bowl team from last year. They know they had 70 sacks last year. We saw it the other night with how quick quarterbacks are getting rid of the football. It's impossible to sack a guy on a 3-step drop and boom, let go. And a lot of teams are doing that against the Eagles, and I think it's going to happen all year long this year to try to take things away. Now, the key is take away the openness of a receiver, make a quarterback obviously look at his second and third read, and that's when you're getting the push up front. And that's when you hopefully start getting the Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat pressure from on the edges. Numbers haven't been there. But again, and Chris Miller points out, what do you think Jeff Saturday's going to say? He's an offensive lineman. Okay, the guy knows football there, Chris. He kind of knows when guys beat people up the offensive and defensive line of the ball.
Don't comment my boy.
That's what he's stating.
And he has no tie to the pumping up the Eagles.
No, so my point only being what the Saturday thought was, we can look for numbers all we want, but the domination is there. And people that know football are seeing it.
I know Baldy's breakdowns are tremendous. I think Baldy's going to need a cold shower over Jalen Carter. he loves what he's seeing out of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And one thing I want to say about that, from watching some of Baldy's stuff and everything, is that, Bob, I think it reinforces what you and I both thought, that last year it has to have been conditioning, because he looks like a completely different player, and he's playing sometimes almost twice as many snaps. That has to be conditioning.
It could have been a myriad of things. Did he know his playbook? Was he going all out in practice? Did offensive line or defensive line coaches lose confidence in him because he wasn't going hard in practice? I mean, it could be a myriad of things. And yes, you're right. Conditioning absolutely could be at the top of the list. But you just never know with rookies. You don't. I've seen it 1,000 times.
You mean the ramp up, or what are you talking about?
Either the ramp up or just not playing to potential, or why aren't they getting it? And then, boom, it turns on real quick sometimes. Sometimes it never does, and you still don't know why. It appears to have turned with him so far. Whatever it may be, good for him and good for the Eagles, right?
I had somebody yesterday. Now, again, this is not me reporting this. Let me make this clear. I had somebody pretty close to Georgia telling me that they believe in their heart of hearts that Jalen Carter trashed his pro day in order to be an Eagle. In order to slide down. I can't either, because of the money.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine it. This person knows a hell of a lot more about Georgia football and their players and everything than I do. And he's convinced. He's absolutely convinced that he did it.
It's a hell of a risk.
I think it's an incredible. I don't believe. Like, I can't believe it.
I can't get behind it, because it's just such. It's so risky.
He knows, but this, I can just tell you, this person knows so much more than any of us know combined about Jalen Carter and about the team. But to me, I can't imagine.
No,
I'm not throwing away $3 million or $4 million to slide.
No.
That's life-changing money.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message live from this station. As we begin the 7 o'clock hour, I thought it was a perfect time for Pat Egan, who is very self-aware, to share with us an admission he's ready to make.
This is Pat's point of view. Here's Pat.
Hi, guys.
I love that you're self-aware, Pat.
Well, yeah, I like to think of our show as a safe space where you can admit your faults.
I think we're like hostile to each other sometimes, ripping on each other.
Well, yeah,
having
sometimes.
fun. Yes.
But my name's Pat, and I don't know football.
Okay, welcome, Pat. Hi, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Bob wants to be rude, and then
he doesn't go to
he doesn't get it. Are you aware of who is first in the NFL in rushing?
Bijan Robinson?
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is correct. Are you aware of who is second in the NFL in rushing?
Bijan Robinson?
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift is correct. Now, that's pretty impressive. It's even more impressive when you consider that he was basically an absentee player in week one. I mean, they didn't use him, right? He's got 308 yards in the season. He is running at a 6.8 yards per carry clip.
It's wild. It's wild.
I spent the entire offseason sitting here and saying that DeAndre Swift was a really good change of pace back.
Yes.
I thought he was a good third down back, but he was a change of pace back. He wasn't a number one guy. And
you didn't rip him, though.
No, I thought he was. I didn't think he was Miles Sanders, but I thought he was a really good, speed burst, better than Kenny Gainwell. But I thought they were still going to have some question marks at the run game. I was so wrong, and I am so happy to be wrong. And the scary thing is they have yet to really utilize him in the passing game.
No,
they've tried a few times here and there, but for the most part, they really haven't gotten him involved in the passing game, and that's one of his strengths. And it's going to be scary once they do. Once you can mix in the full package of DeAndre Swift, rushing and catching, it's going to be pretty tantalizing.
I'll tell you what, he and you and I were watching the play over and over and over again yesterday, Pat. He may have scored a touchdown had either Jalen Hurts thrown the ball the right place, or I don't know what happened on the play, but he broke inside, beat a linebacker, just was totally flat-footed, and the middle of the field was just wide open on that interception.
Who do you think was to blame there?
I think
go
it was
with
Swift.
Hurts.
You think it was? You think it was Swift?
Yeah, I think Swift. He thinks Hurts.
I think it was Swift because of the way Hurts answered the question in the postgame. Oh no, I'm not pointing any fingers. No. That's your game. I'm not doing that. You're not luring me into that.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he did go the wrong way, he went the way which was more wide open. It
yes,
appeared.
he did.
You know, and
He did.
that middle was just now Devontae Smith. He broke free downfield, right?
He went
just
straight.
He kind of ran a fly to open up the sideline there. But I think his guy would have come off once the ball was in the air. But my God, there was nobody in the middle of that field, and he would have had a full head of steam catching the ball with Swift right there in the middle of the field. He may have scored.
I like it, though, Pat. You're very self-aware on this.
Look, and I think a big part of it is the Eagles' offensive line is just incredible. And we talked about that. You know, coming from Detroit, you put anybody behind this offensive line, you're going to be able to pick up some carries. But to see what he's been doing these, I'll say first two games because the first game of the season doesn't really count. But the last two games I just never expected it. And I just wanted to do a mea culpa and apologize to Mr. Swift and his family.
I think it worked out well.
I think you should have went to Temple still.
Yeah, I
He
do
didn't.
too.
I'm over it. But
Why go to Temple over? I mean, Georgia over Temple.
I don't,
What does
I don't
Georgia
get it.
have that Temple
I mean,
doesn't
you
have?
could be a hometown hero and go
Seriously.
to Temple, and they got insomnia cookies and whatnot. But
Yeah, they have them in Athens too, though.
not anymore. No, they're closed down. Yeah, look, but to see what he's been doing and watching the highlights of the game yesterday,
wow.
He's got a burst that is really, really impressive. Like once he gets in open space, he's gone. And
Love it.
I thought he was a good change of pace back, but he is looking like a number one back and then some.
Good job, Pat. I think it was good, Bob.
It was all right.
I mean, I think
Relax,
it's
Bob.
deserving. Look, being self-aware is important, and I never thought he'd be this, though. No way. I thought he could give you everything that you got from Miles Sanders, but I never thought Miles Sanders.
You can't say that lightly.
No, but I did. I
didn't. No, none of us thought he was going to be a 1,300 yard.
No, but I thought he could give you anything if he was given the opportunity. I thought he could give you what Miles Sanders gave you. I did not. Miles Sanders, over his career as an Eagle, I think you've had more jaw-dropping moments already from DeAndre Swift than you had in Miles Sanders' entire tenure.
I don't know.
It's a jaw-dropping. People weren't coming in. I don't remember ever except 1 year, last year, where people were like bragging, like,
his rookie year is pretty good.
Miles Sanders
a home run hitter. Like he had, what was it? Double-digit touchdowns of 20 or more yards. Like he was a big play back. Miles Sanders was. I wouldn't have bet. I didn't go as far as Pat saying. I just think he's kind of sometimes used back.
Well,
but I didn't.
I said change of pace back.
Change of pace. I didn't think. I never would have said he could produce like Miles Sanders.
There's nothing
this
wrong
year.
with being a change of pace back, Bobby.
And
no,
they're
there's
very.
nothing wrong
It
with
seems
it.
like you're sticking that knife a
poo-pooing
little
it?
further in. It's like
Not poo-pooing it.
I need to pull it back out.
I mean, look, his second year.
No, that hurts. Bob, when you put the knife in, if you pull it out, that actually hurts the person more.
Oh, I've always been pulled.
The blood comes
Pull
out. Yeah, well,
Yeah, you're supposed to keep it in, Bobby.
Yeah.
So
because
remember that
the
when
blood will just say, it'll
I
kill
stab
you.
you in the back.
You don't want that. I'm just looking at it as this should be a great weekend. A beautiful Sunday. I think like 74 degrees or something at kickoff.
Nice.
Sunshiny.
I want
Great
to-
day.
That's great tailgate weather right there.
Well, I would say that then people can come out and see you guys.
Yes, Philly Sports Trips. They host their tailgate at Live Casino. It's going to be a great time.
Oh,
Yes,
and
man.
we'll be doing the pregame show from there. And there's great food and great drinks, bottomless Cokes.
People just go to phillysportstrips.com and they can buy a pass for the tailgate.
Well, you can buy a pass for the whole season, Johnny.
Yeah.
Season pass?
Oh,
You
yeah.
can-
Season pass to the tailgate.
Wait a minute.
You don't have to worry about it. It's like, oh, where am I tailgating? Oh, I know where I'm tailgating. I'm tailgating
Okay, that's
Philly
outlandish.
Sports Trips.
That's awesome. Love that.
And you just never know who's going to stop by. Like the first week, all of a sudden, Bobby's hero stops by.
Oh, I was so excited.
Now he has the restraining order now filed against Bob, right?
He does. Wilbert Montgomery, not exactly fleet of foot anymore, so he couldn't run away from Bobby like he used to.
Well, he still got away pretty quickly.
But
All
he
I
did
was
get.
turn my back.
But he did get away. He grabbed his wife and said, "We got to get the hell out of here."
Yeah,
It's
let's go.
It's that little boy from the '80s.
Stalker. Remember I told you about that kid in the 80s? He's back. All right, this is personal business here at The Fanatic. I think I've solved one of our greatest mysteries about these studios. What is one of the greatest mysteries, and our listeners know it from year one, that we've talked about this show, trying to find out who is the culprit?
Oh, the chair picker.
Very good, Pat Egan.
I'll tell you what, this one got worse since I left.
You know why, Bob? Because that chair that Bob sits in was here when I came in this morning.
Okay.
And this was on the floor under it.
Oh,
Bob, will you do the CSI, could you please, for our YouTube audience? This is great viewership. That's it, right?
Oh, it's perfectly.
That was the chair was located here in this seat, and that was on the floor because my shoe hit it, and I was wondering what's under the shoe. Pat Egan, do we know who sat in this chair last night? Because there's no way, by the way, the General Tyrone Johnson is not the chair picker because he sits every day in it, and I see it.
I think I have an idea of who you're going to try to pin this on.
Okay.
I don't know who sat in the chair last night, but I'd assume it was Tom.
You're thinking it was Tom.
Yeah.
Was there an engineer for their show? Was it Tom and Connor, or was Tom behind the board and Connor was in the studio? Because I don't know. Whoever sat
there must have been somebody behind the board.
Okay, well I didn't know if Tom was running the board and Connor was just in here
Yeah,
and they were doing the two-man show.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were just doing a two-man show. If someone was running the board, I say the Mangler picked that chair last night. Because it always happened after the weekend, and our buddy Jamie would always complain and say, look, it wasn't like this on Friday. It happened over the weekend, I swear to you. The chair picker is now in the crosshairs. It happened last night because it wasn't like that yesterday, and it was on the floor. Whoever picked that chair apart last night, I'd say this. Haley has some information on this. Connor sits where I sit.
Okay.
And Tom sits where Bob sits.
That does make sense.
So is Connor Thomas the chair picker?
Here's why
on the weekend.
Here's why I don't think it is.
No, me neither.
Because the chair picking has gone down well before Connor got here.
Okay.
And Connor, one of the chairs, Pat, being picked was in here in studio. Connor was rarely in studio.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now. I'm getting new information. Haley, got to get me right information here. It's like, Tom sits where I sit. Connor sits there.
I can't trust this now. It's like she's
We
flip-flopping.
need to see it. Now you're flip-flopping on us, Haley.
I mean, like,
with
we
this
need
information.
somebody else. I can't go to that news source.
She says, I can verify because I did YouTube on the weekend. Tom sits where I sit. Connor sits where Bob sits.
Both of them, though, they weren't here. Like this chair picking situation has been a problem for like 7 years.
And last night the chair was picked, and it was picked poorly.
Maybe there's a new one. Maybe there's like a
new one?
Yeah, like how Spider-Man and then once Peter Parker kind of gave it up.
You think like Brendan Gunn is coming in here? No, he's too good an employee to do that.
No, I think it might be a situation of whoever the chair picker was, they passed the torch down to a new chair picker.
Sort of like, is this like Saw?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By the way,
I'm now the chair picker.
I saw Saw 10's coming out. But Saw 10 is really between Saw 1 and 2. Have you seen it?
I will not be seeing it.
Okay,
no.
I have seen a lot of the Saws. I'm tempted to see it.
I dipped out after like the fourth one.
Your chance to win $1,000 comes up at the top of the hour in Fanatics Kelly Green Cash giveaway contest, and your chance to win not only $1,000 but a brand new 2023 Birds Kelly Green jersey. So that'll come up. And Adam Schefter, it's 8, right, Pat? It's not 8:20. It's 8, right?
Yes, 8 o'clock. He joins us all during the season. He'll be joining us at 8, and we'll get him on, and he will say,
"My name's Adam."
Well, Bob Cooney and Cooney's Corner is going to tell us something about the Eagles' defense and create a little conversation next.
Well, come on, man.
No, he's going to do that, Adam. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, got to tell you, at FanDuel Casino, we know the only thing better than a win is a free win. And that's why they made Reward Machine, the daily free-to-play game that gives you a chance to win up to $2,000 in casino bonus. They've given away over $50 million in free bonuses already, and they're just getting started. Every day at 6 p.m., you get 3 chances to spin the Reward Machine reels, and there are 3 ways to win. 1, match any 3 symbols for an instant win. 2, collect symbols each day for a chance to win weekly prizes. Or 3, win up to $2,000 if you collect 3 trophies. So what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Casino app by going to FanDuel.com/Bob and start playing Reward Machine today. That's FanDuel.com/Bob. No purchase necessary. 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
It's a great time to be a sports fan in Philadelphia. The NFL season is underway. The Phillies are pushing toward a playoff appearance. And right around the corner, the return of the Flyers in the NHL and the Sixers in the NBA. If you want great local sports conversation, this is the place to be all day, every day. All things Philly sports is here. This is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey guys, it's Connor Thomas, and throughout all of our lives, we make plans for all kinds of big events, and some for our children. And one of those events is where your child should go to college. It's a tough call, right? It is for everyone. So what do you do if college isn't for them at all? What if they're in college and it seems like it was the wrong choice for them? Maybe your son or daughter is always talking sports or creating videos. Well, CSB Media Arts Center is home to Connecticut School of Broadcasting and could be the perfect fit. I mean, it was for me. The world of content creation starts at CSB with audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, my personal favorite, and more. Get the skills employers, like mine here at 97.5 The Fanatic, need at CSB Media Arts Center in months, not years, and at a fraction of the cost of a 4-year degree. I know because I'm a very proud graduate. Schedule a tour and learn about all of CSB's programs like filmmaking, social media marketing, and even web development. CSB Media Arts Center in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Go ahead and check it out at GoCSB.com. That's GoCSB.com.
Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. And realtors are bound by a code of ethics. We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day, and they're fun, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now try Babbel free. Text radio to 64,000. Text radio to 64,000.
Back to school means back to early bedtimes. But I'm not tired. Fortunately, there's Pure Z's Kids, mindfully formulated to help your child fall asleep naturally when needed. Pure Z's Kids products are non-habit forming, drug-free, and available in liquid, chewable tablets, and gummies. Give them the rest to be their best. Bye, Mom! Pure Z's Kids for ages 4 and up. Explore all Pure Z's Kids products at zquill.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. And realtors are bound by a code of ethics. We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Citadel Credit Union has a checking account that's built for you. For a limited time, get $300 when you open a new checking account at citadelbanking.com/radio. Citadel Credit Union, a Forbes Best in State Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now because game day is so close you can almost taste it. Football watching. Better with Pepsi.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go. So I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like Certainty Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase Certainty through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
I just had the best experience. My daughter went to the doctor and everything she needed was covered. Everything? What insurance do you have? Kids Partners, the CHIP plan from Jefferson Health Plans. It covers doctor and dentist appointments, ER visits, prescriptions, and more. Plus, my daughter can also get a new pair of glasses. They even offer free gym memberships.
Visit hpplans.com or call 866-599-0809 to learn more about Kids Partners, a part of Jefferson Health Plans.
Nothing brings families together like a world-famous tomato pie from Corpelese Bakery and Deli. 4 generations of pride go into everything on the Corpelese menu, including hand-carved deli meats and cheeses, freshly baked breads, rolls, cookies and pies, hoagies and party trays, specialty cakes and stromboli. Go back to a better time at Corpelese Bakery and Deli in Norristown, Audubon, and Limerick. Want to join the Corpelese family? Apply today at corpelesebakery.com.
Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Feels good this morning, doesn't it? Feels really good. It's going to be a Red October. We'll have more on the Red October coming up, including you're going to hear from Bryce Harper and Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott. But first, I want to hear a little bit from Bob Cooney, because Bob Cooney's got some thoughts on this Eagles defense that may be very thought-provoking for you on the way to work.
Now, let's see what's in Cooney's corner.
So far, this Eagles defense, whether you like the numbers or not, it's been pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Mac Jones stuff, okay, they gave up a lot of underneath and everything, and he put up some numbers, but not so much to the detriment of really serious harm. Kirk Cousins, Minnesota.
He's going to do that to you, right?
Yeah, that's what he does. Look at his numbers every other game he doesn't play against the Eagles. It's kind of what he does. Whatever. They went up against Tampa Bay the other night, and I think they're kind of much like the offense, much like Nick Sirianni has been preaching, and we mainly label it on the offense, but I think the defense is kind of the same way in that they're getting better and better and better as time goes on. And you can look at the Reed Blankenship. You can look at Morrow and Cunningham at linebackers. A lot of different things and say, yeah, things are panning out a little bit. But think of this, as good as the Eagles' defense has played, and they're giving up under 20 points a game, and that's kind of all that really matters, you haven't gotten the production out of guys that you were looking for. You haven't gotten the Sweat sacks, the Hassan Reddick sacks. You haven't gotten any of those things that you thought you were going to get before this season started. So my question to you guys is it because offenses are getting rid of the ball so quickly? Maybe we won't see those defensively dominating numbers that we saw a year ago. Now, none of us expect 70 sacks or anything like that, nor did we going into the season. But could it be a case of the Eagles' defense just might be really good without numbers this year because of what they're forcing offenses to do?
The only thing I look at is, Bob, is what happened in January in the 2 home playoff games. Feasting on quarterbacks and the quarterback hits and the quarterback sacks and the turnovers and things like that, which they're getting the turnovers, by the way, to me was what differentiated the Eagles from all their opponents. And so I'm a little concerned about that, but the thing is I'm not concerned 3 games in. If we talk about this in November, I'm going to be concerned. If in November we're talking about this team doesn't have those numbers, because I believe sack numbers are one of the major indicators that you're going far in the postseason.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be.
Year to year, it tends to be a big number.
I look and say, is the anomaly here what teams are doing? 1-2 drop, step, throw. 1-2 drop, step, throw. Like, that's all you're getting, so therefore sacks become nearly impossible. Is it a case that they're dominant in other areas? Now, the last 2 games, the domination is time of possession. 2-1. 40 minutes to 20 minutes.
That's unreal.
Nobody's going to beat you that way.
No.
Nobody. And that means the defense is getting that offense off the field. They're doing whatever they have to do to stop the other team. Maybe the numbers don't show. It'll show more when you play good quarterbacks.
Yes.
We all know that. It's the same as last year, but they have the good quarterbacks coming this year. So it will be interesting how they play this out. But I think offensive teams, lesser offensive teams so far, are so geared toward not allowing the Eagles to get sacks. 1, 2, 3, throw. You know that.
And that's the way it's been. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you're not going to see those numbers. Maybe you'll start seeing, this is weird, against the better quarterbacks, against the guys like Allen and Tua Tagovailoa, guys that like to look the field over a little bit and then throw the football. So It's kind of weird. We all want to see it. We all want to see the sacks dialed up. I think we will see it this Sunday. But there's more. I think there's more that goes into it than just Sweat and just Hassan Reddick not getting to the quarterback.
Got to say, Pat, you and I have both been clamoring for a little more numbers in the sack total. This weekend, Sam Howell's the guy holding on to the ball too long, taking sacks. It's sort of the weekend to have the coming out party.
Yeah, it should be. I would think so.
Let's hope so.
Like it seemed like Baker wasn't all that comfortable in the game as the game went on. That first drive annoyed the hell out of me because I turned to Bob at one point and said, yeah, he's doing play action fakes and he's got all day to throw. Like, it just didn't seem like there was much pass rush to speak of. But as the game went on, it seemed to dial up a little bit here and there. And I was a little surprised to only get 2 sacks out of it. But there's just no excuse for not getting to the quarterback. Even if you're not sending blitzes, the one-on-one matchups, it favors the Birds. So I'm not going to... I'll try not to be too critical this week and keep in mind, like, yeah, maybe Desai is holding some things back a little bit against these opponents that they should be able to beat. But it is frustrating. You did see 70 last year. And now we're at, like, 5.
Yeah, is it 5 or 6? I don't know what it is. It's close to that.
Yeah.
It is, Bob. It's an intriguing question, but I won't be happy if at the end of the season we're talking about... Now, look, I'm not expecting 70. I said before the year I wanted 55.
Yeah.
And I think they can still get to 55 and be one of the best teams. By the way, 55 usually is teams that go deep into the playoffs. 55 sacks means you're a dominant defense. 70 was the anomaly, the outlier.
Sure.
I'm fine with 55, and I think they're going to be in that neighborhood. I think 50-plus sacks for this team is where they should be with the talent they've got, and I think it's where they're going to end up. I really do.
Yeah, it is amazing, though. The other night, Pat, how little we saw of Reddick, how little we saw of Swift.
You didn't hear their names either.
No, you really didn't see it coming from the outside. I don't know. The only instance that I saw that Desai was doing something a little different was what I said in that first game. It looked like he was all about just go beat your man. Because there wasn't a bunch, like I've talked about this before, there wasn't a bunch of stunts, there wasn't a bunch of anything but go beat your man. And New England had a very much patchwork offensive line that day, and they should have beaten their men a little bit more. No, I don't think they're saving themselves to get sacks. I don't think, they're saying, once this game comes, we'll go and get sacks. I do think that opposing teams with lesser quarterbacks are looking to get rid of the ball so quickly that the Eagles are having a little trouble to get to the quarterback. Now, once they start moving, there's no excuse. Like, Nolan Smith made a hell of a hit the other night.
It was a great hit.
And, that's when Baker Mayfield moved up into the pocket and thought he had some time to throw, and it quickly closed out. But, you do need to see a little bit more of it, but I also think you need to look a little bit harder as to why they're not getting it.
Damian Woody said something on NFL Live, and I really like Damian. We're going to get him on here in the next few weeks, hopefully. I really like Damian's analysis sometimes, especially line play and things like that. Damian Woody said something about Nick Sirianni, that the Eagles don't care about how they win, and they just want to put the wins in the win column, where other coaches worry about the style points. They're willing to do whatever it takes and then shut it down. When they think they have enough to win, shut it down and just choke the life out of an opponent. And he really admires that. He admires that. I think Eagles fans, that 922 drive the other night, it might have been one of the most fun things I've ever seen the Eagles do in a regular season game. I cannot believe that they bled out the clock with 9 minutes to go after Tampa closes to within 14, has all 3 timeouts, and they're talking about it. All 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. This game's far from over. And the Eagles 8 in 9:22 drive. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
And that plays to that.
And what's it speak of to you?
Offensive line dominance.
Domination,
they
absolutely.
just know and they know what they can do.
You can do pretty much whatever you want when you're controlling the ball for 9 minutes. And if I'm not mistaken, the last real play was that slant into A.J. Brown just to get that first down on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, whatever it was. That's just total confidence and domination in your line that you think and you prove you can do that.
I meant to grab it from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Brandon Graham. Do you know what Brandon Graham was chirping to the Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yeah, that they were going to get a safety.
Yes. He told them, you're not running it here, right? You guys aren't running it here, right? You're
That's
not gonna try to run it, are you?
I also turned to Bobby and said, "Wow, this just sets up the safety."
See, I didn't think they were going to run it.
The next play, they got a safety.
I thought they were going to. I absolutely thought he was going to throw that ball.
I thought they would run it.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I really did. I thought they'd run it, and it's hilarious because they don't have a running game.
And Brandon Graham telling them, "You're not running it here, right? You're not going to try to run it."
Well, we all make mistakes.
Yeah, we have.
Usually, you don't do it on the 1 yard line.
That's incredible to me.
I mean, I think what's also incredible is like you could. I really thought that ball would be brought back to the 20. I thought it was a touchback.
Right.
So they kind of. They lucked out in a way. I don't know.
Did.
I don't know how the replay showed it, but they lucked out in a way because I thought it should have been at the 20. So they get the 2 points and then they get the ball back. And
it didn't. I mean, Pat, it wasn't close, really.
So it was. So the replay even showed it.
No, it wasn't close.
Okay.
It absolutely. There was no like Tampa was not going to challenge that.
Yeah,
there was nothing.
Turned to Bob and was like, all right, let's get this getting brought back.
No.
Was really surprised when they reviewed it.
I would say it's I would say it's 2 footballs. That it was 2 footballs back.
Yeah, and a young team like that, a Baker Mayfield at quarterback first year, you kind of have to be careful. So I was anticipating run like.
Oh, you were anticipating run also.
My thought was, oh man, don't give up like a chunker and let them out of harm's way right away. Don't give up like an 8-9 yard run here and give them breathing room. And man, they didn't. If you could see that defense the way they're, I always love going to baseball games, going to football games. And watching the defense right before the ball's pitched, the ball is snapped, and the way they get on their toes. Like you'll see fielders playing around, looking around, and then all of a sudden when the pitch is about to be thrown, boom, they're in their defensive spot. I was watching particularly the Eagles' defense on that one, and everybody was creeping up. Everybody off of the line was creeping up, and the way Morrow hit that hole,
oh my gosh,
it was pretty cool.
Now, by the way, if I end up not showing up for work some morning, Bob, call for a wellness check. Because if I don't stop like humming and whistling the Tullamore Dew jingle in the house, I may end up not dying from cancer, dying from my wife just blunt force trauma. Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. Huh? Oh, I can't stop it. It's the new Rally House.
Well, I'm looking forward to that Netflix docu-series.
He thought he was battling cancer.
Little
did he know. His wife just finally grew tired of him whistling jingles. Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. It's very catchy. The original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Because when it's game time, it's Tully time, and it's brown liquor time. It really is. It's time to switch to the brown liquor if you are so engaged. I am not as adventuresome, so I will. I'll stick to the Tanqueray once I'm done my chemo.
Yeah,
I'll stick to the Tanqueray.
Nor am I. No.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Bobby, you don't like the.
I will have a sip. I will have a sip around like a fire or something. Maybe like you're at a fire pit or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't tend to be a brown liquor guy. Tullamore is exceptional stuff.
I'm a brown sugar guy.
I knew you are. That's ice cream.
You like
white
that,
sugar,
yeah.
brown sugar, orange sugar. You're all into the sugar.
Orange sugar sounds pretty good.
I know the sugar was going last night because everybody was smiling in the entire area because the Phillies clinched another Red October. It was absolutely awesome. And Bryce Harper said, the thing about a Red October is, well, the unexpected.
That was great. Just being able to get back and understand that this is what it's all about. We just wanted to get in the dance and play it, and anything can happen. We're just excited to be able to play, hopefully, this game or these next, couple games at home. And, being able to just get in. That's all we want to do. Just get in and give us that opportunity.
Okay.
I share blast in the background.
I like that song too.
Oh my God!
I mean, there were some great tunes.
That song's
playing.
Great.
I think it's a great song. There were some great tunes playing last night, including some that Tom McCarthy was uncomfortable with on the post game celebration. I heard him talking about it.
Yeah,
they were playing some songs that maybe they didn't want for a family type show. I love what Harper's saying, but it does. Okay, you're going to tell me I'm wordsmithing, Pat, and I may be. All we wanted to do was just get in. I want next year, I swear to God, I want this team saying we want to win the National League East. I want to hear it.
Well, they do.
I want to hear that being the goal. Not just get in the postseason. No, I think really sort of Rob Thompson talked about it. You just want to get in. You just want to get in. That's all you really care about, just getting in.
Well, I think
more
the message there is getting in and giving you a shot. I got
you.
I don't think there's anybody on that team that's going to be content and is going in like last season, I think was a season of, hey, we're just happy to be here.
I got you.
That's me in Tampa. I'm just happy to be here. This is great. I don't care what goes on. But this season, I do think that there's a mission. I mean, they got a taste of it. They want the whole thing.
I would just say that next year, I would love to hear them say in spring training, our goal is to not finish 15, 16 games out in the division. Our goal is to win the National League East. Because it is very similar to sort of what the NFL does. You have a much easier path to winning a championship when you don't have to play an extra series. When you can set up your pitching staff. You've got an option there. Yes, it didn't work out last year for the Dodgers or the Braves, but I think that again will be an anomaly. I don't think that is the going to become the new norm, where the 6th wild card or the 5th wild card ends up being the team that's going to go far. Playing less games, it just makes sense. Play less games is an advantage for you trying to win a World Series.
Look, I think every season you go into, every series you go into, every game you go into win. And I don't think that changes during the course of the year. When you look and see a team that's 45 games over 500 and there's nothing you can do about that, I think being happy to be in the playoffs is a fine thing.
Now, Brandon Marsh, on the other hand, says, to hell with Red October. It's going to be a little more than that.
We're done in October. We got to keep going. So, God willing, for sure. Got to stay humble and head down and work. But 2 more, baby.
Yeah, he's saying it's going into November.
Who was that talking?
Brandon Marsh.
Oh, okay.
He says it's going into November.
Good for him. There's the goal that you want.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love hearing it. Embrace that it is. I'm going to say it right now, though, and we'll talk more about it when we get closer to the series beginning, when you know the opponent and everything like that. But to me, Pat, I sort of agree with something you said earlier on in the show. If this team wins the wild card series, goes to the NLDS, and plays their backsides off and loses a heartbreaker, in no way am I going to look at this season as a failure. If they go to the NLDS and get their backsides kicked and embarrass themselves, I absolutely will look at this season as a step back. It's the two. Got to win the wild card series, and then you have to act like you belong in the NLDS. And I have every confidence, by the way, that they will. I've said it. I've said it, and I've said it with my chest, and I've said it on their radio stations down south. If the Phillies were to get one of the first 2 games against the Braves, they'll win the series.
In the moment, I'll be mad and annoyed and all that and angry. But if the Braves go on, let's hypothetically say that they go on and they beat the hell out of the Phillies and it's not really even close.
The Dodgers.
And then they kill the Dodgers and win the World Series pretty easily. It makes it easier. I mean,
it would make it. You're right. Make it a little easier.
When I take a step back and look at the glory days of the Phillies back in like 2010 and 11 and all that. The teams they lost to ended up winning the World Series. It did make it a little bit easier to go, they lost to a wild card Cardinals team, but that Cardinals team beat everybody. And then, all right, they lost the Giants, and it sucked.
But the Giants, right.
Yeah, when you lose to a team that ends up getting clocked the next round, you're like, damn, what the hell happened? But this Braves team's really, really good.
That's different than what Sixers fans do. Because I hear from all my buddies who are Sixers zealots always say to me, well, Toronto won our championship. That was our championship. We would have easily won that championship. I'm like, you can say that about a team that hasn't won a title in 40 years? That you guarantee they would have won 2 more series after that? They would have taken care of business?
That was their best shot, probably.
It was a great shot.
It was their best shot.
But you can't guarantee me that they would have won a team that hasn't won in 4 decades.
We do that, though, with the Eagles, and they never won a championship. We do it with the 0-2 Eagles team in Tampa.
I'm not going to be happy if they lose in the playoffs. Like, I'm not going to say,
you'll look at the season
it's like you're saying about not winning the division. Like, how can you be happy with just getting in? Well, how can you be happy with losing in the playoffs?
Because I would not look at if you tell me this team plays outstanding baseball and loses a hard series to the Braves, like it's 5 games and you lose 4-3 in game 5, I'm not going to look at this season and go, damn, they totally blew it. I'll look at it as, man, that was a good showing. They go out and get swept 3-0. I'm going to look at it as that's embarrassing.
I think being a little Kincade here, but focusing on the words, I don't think anybody will be happy.
No, nobody's going to be happy.
But we won't be the opposite.
Why won't be calling it a bad
angry.
season?
Yeah, we won't be angry about it. But happy, I'm not going to be coming in here skipping and frolicking, Bobby, if they lose in a playoff series. There will be no frolicking going on. But will I be coming in and will it ruin my week? Probably not.
Let's see what, if you want to share a thought, you can. 610-632-0975. Haley, if there's some way you can ask the YouTube audience, too. The same type of question is winning the wild card series and playing an excellent NLDS with a loss going to really disappoint people? Because I wonder how much that disappointment would be. Because I know this. That would be, to me, you played your backsides off, you did your best, and you just fell short. I don't think that looking ahead, though, I know this morning they're waking up in Atlanta saying, wow, they know the Phillies are waiting, and they're not happy about it. They're not. It's the team that won the season series in Atlanta, went there and took 4 out of 7. So they know that there's no intimidation factor. That crowd, please. The crowd at down there at Truist Park is not going to intimidate the Phillies in the least. I mean,
their stupid tomahawk chop isn't going to get it done.
They'll still do that, but the thing is that the fans there, it's more. I can't put it. I'll put it the best way. Going to a Braves game is an event. Like, it's more of an event where people are. It's statusy to go to the Braves game and be there and everything like that. They're not going and bringing. They're not bringing one half the energy.
Yeah, they're not
that a Phillies postseason crowd is
actively looking to lose their voice.
Yes, that's not happening.
I don't get that sense with LA fans.
Yeah,
the Yankees fans.
The big complaint is, Pat, they would tell you to sit down. Fans would get told, like, you're blocking my view. Sit down.
I'll stand up. I'm
where
sure
you're going to stand up. Where people stood up. That Game 5, and I know Haley was there. And I have friends who were there that rainy Sunday against the Padres, that Sunday afternoon. And I talked to people that were in the building that said they didn't sit the entire game. I've never done that for a baseball game. Now, game 3 against that's too much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's awesome.
Although, with the pitch clock now, it might be a lot easier, Pat.
Yeah,
yesterday's game, I looked up, and it's like 5th inning, and it's still catching me off guard. It's still surprising me how quickly the games are going.
Both pitchers were efficient, though, really. I mean, last night was great.
Yeah, it helps. It helps when it's just, grab ball, throw ball.
The nibbler wasn't showing up last night.
No.
He wasn't nibbling.
The executioner showed up.
And it was great because, as Ruben was pointing out on the television broadcast, he was attacking the strike zone.
Yeah, if we can just get, let's say 5, 6 more starts like that.
Oh, I'm looking, Pat, if he can give you last year, he gave you the clincher. He gave you the Cardinals game. He gave you that Braves game 3. And then he wasn't bad in the Padres. He wasn't terrible in the Padres series. If you can get that out of him, you can get back to a World Series.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah, if he can tie the 2 in. If he does give you a bad outing, I don't know, 3 runs in 5 innings or whatever, I need the offense to be right there with you. Too many times it seems like, you'll get a bad Taijuan Walker, Nola, whatever it is, and they give up 4 in 5 or whatever it is, and the offense takes a little time to get you back into it. They both have to be clicking for this team to be able to win a World Series. There's no question.
You have a chance to win $1,000 coming up at the top of the hour, so you don't want to turn the dial. Plus, with Adam Schefter joining us at that point, we'll find out how are the Eagles sort of stacking up around not only the NFC, but the NFL at a 3-0 start. Are people believing? We'll talk to Adam about that next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I love the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app. Absolutely love it because you're always in the zone.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. We have Adam Schefter coming up at the top of the hour. And we'll look forward to talking to him, find out what he's hearing about the Eagles and figuring out where things are moving forward for this team, which is good. And you'll have a chance to win $1,000 in Fanatics Kelly Green Cash. Comes your way in 10 minutes. CSB Media Arts Center, by the way, in Cherry Hill, home to Connecticut School of Broadcasting's broadcast media program and more. Find out more at gocsb.com. I wonder if Tom learned to pick chairs there, Pat. That may have been like he may have minored in picking chairs. It's either him or Connor. It's one of the two of them.
I mean, Connor can come. I mean, Connor will be in like an hour.
Okay, we'll see if
he can defend himself if he wants. I still stand by it's not either of them.
Really?
I mean, maybe it was.
Yeah, I think a lot was done before they got here, right?
I think somebody else.
Somebody from the best show ever picked the chair?
I mean, we've been dealing with the chair picking situation for legitimately like 7 years.
But it happened since yesterday.
Yeah,
when I left the studio at 10 a.m.
So it could have been anybody in here on the best show ever.
Andrew wasn't sitting there.
It could have. I mean, are we sure that
it was on the floor underneath my chair? This chair, Bob's chair, was here.
So that's my point. Like, it could have been under there already, and it just got kicked under your chair or something. It could have been there for a while. We don't know when it got there.
I'm not seeing it.
It could have been there since the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs.
Bob's an investigative journalist. I expected more out of him on this. I expected like the I-team to come in.
Dude, Bob's been mailing it in since Tampa.
Well, I
all
think
12 hours.
That could have been an elbow went down there and boom, it broke it off because it had been so picked before. This problem has gone on long before the two that you stated even started working here. So I don't know. Maybe it's a continuation of a long problem. I don't. Investigative journalism, it's a great thing when you care about the subject. When you don't, it's hard to really want to do the investigating.
So the editor is not sending someone out on this story, is what you're saying?
Yes.
You're not letting someone go out on this story?
No,
You're saying that doesn't make today's cut?
I would say that when Connor comes here, I'll throw this piece of chair at him and say, did you do this? And if he says no, I'll get it back. Next time I see Alford, I'll throw it at him and say, did you do this? And if they both say no, end of my investigation.
That's Bob getting to the bottom of it all.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, I got news for you on Brock Purdy. I don't know about you, but I'm a little Brock Purdy'd out as far as hearing about the hype of Brock Purdy. And I'm not sensing that this is something that is going to drive me, to worry about that Brock Purdy is going to be what stands between the Philadelphia Eagles and going to a Super Bowl. Interesting number for you. Brock Purdy is 23 out of 32 quarterbacks in accuracy. He was 27 out of 39 last season. He is absolutely below average in accuracy. And he throws with anticipation. Now, a number here from one of the sites, Niners Nation. And this is a guy with Niners Nation saying this. Purdy is below average. He's below the fold in being accurate. And it's one of the things that when people say about Jalen Hurts, what does Jalen Hurts bring to the table? Well, one thing I know, even though Jalen Hurts had 2 interceptions the other night, I still don't have any problem with the second one. And the first one's going to happen. Those type of things happen, especially with new teammates. But I am not concerned at all that Jalen Hurts is going to be out there costing his team by throwing the ball, by being inaccurate. That's one of the least things on my bingo card to worry about in a Jalen Hurts start. And Brock Purdy, he's below the fold significantly.
Hurts accuracy, I still sometimes question it. I'm not totally confident in it, but I have gained confidence. Let's say that, right, John?
Okay.
I've gained confidence in it. Like I told you, people still question him throwing the ball down the middle, throws the ball to the sidelines an awful lot, whatever it may be. But I'll tell you what, I think his eyes have been down a little bit these 3 games, a little bit more than they should. Dan Orlovsky had some breakdown yesterday about the game Monday night, and he did it again. He missed Devontae Smith. He missed Dallas Goedert wide open at times. That's concerning. I thought the biggest part to take away any concern or questions you might have about Jalen Hurts was the touchdown pass. I mean, that was the way he stepped up. That's a pretty play. The way he stepped up, that's a really good throw between 2 sets of defenders. Really good throw to lay it in there like that. So he hasn't done anything to take my confidence away. He hasn't done anything to make me have more confidence than I had in him last year.
Pat, you were a guy who threw in the towel on Jalen Hurts, but
Jeez, man, remind people about that some
Well,
more.
I'm just saying is that he
thought we were already done with the mea culpa.
Yeah, but
let's point out some more deficiencies.
But he earned you. He earned respect from you.
He did, yeah.
And so, I mean, is it that for you? Like what I'm hearing about the Brock Purdy hype, he is in the bottom third of quarterbacks in accuracy. And the Eagles can make teams like that pay.
They can. I do not believe that Brock Purdy was going to put up 33 points on the Eagles defense last year. I don't think Brock Purdy would put up 33 points on the Eagles defense this year. I need to see more of him. I need to see why he lasted till the pick of Mr. Irrelevant, because there was a reason for it. And maybe it was simply just a mistake by a lot of teams, but
like every
most of the time, especially with the quarterback position, you last that long and you prove why. You know, like the Ryan Fitzpatricks of the world, the 7th-round picks that end up having a long, sustained NFL career, at best, they usually become journeymen. There's like one outlier, and it's Brady. But other than that, a lot of times, they don't end up becoming franchise quarterbacks. And if he ends up becoming a game manager, then that's great news for the Eagles, because I feel like that's one less team you have to worry about. It's one of the reasons why I look at the Cowboys being probably the toughest team in the NFC, not the 49ers.
I'll do what I did with Bill Belichick when the Eagles were going to face them the first week of the season. And you can compare and contrast and do all those things. Put it this way. If Brock Purdy was the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, would he be as good as Jalen Hurts?
No.
I don't know.
I don't think he would be. I mean, don't.
Jalen Hurts was a 3rd-round pick. Purdy, as Pat said, Mr. Irrelevant. The college career's vastly different. What's that?
You said 3rd-round pick. I got in your ear and said 2nd round.
Oh, second. I'm sorry. Second
you don't
round
know football
pick.
either.
Was he 45th?
No, not at all.
No, I think he was like 52nd.
52nd?
Yeah, that's to me, and it's been brought up to me a lot, is probably maybe the best way to look at it. You know, San Francisco just doesn't have all of the weapons that Philadelphia does.
Are you saying could you plug in Purdy and be sitting same place with the Eagles?
I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm saying if you gave Purdy 2 years as a starter, is that what Jalen Hurts had? Yeah, 2 years as a starter and put him with this team, could he be as effective as a Jalen Hurts? It's impossible to say, but the case could be made either way, probably.
I bet you people would try to make that case.
And he's got great weapons. You know, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
George Kittle. Like, he's got really good weapons, one of the best left tackles.
Just like Hurts does, right?
In the game,
he's undefeated.
Yeah. I think Hurts' weapons are better than Purdy's weapons. But, I mean, it's like we're talking a drop-off that's similar to probably A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, it's a drop-off, but it's not so substantial of a drop-off. And that's probably up for debate. But the whole Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown angle that I just had. But not as I say it. But it's still incredible weapons that he has to work with. Pretty good offensive line. All of that, like if he doesn't make it work, yeah, Bob, I didn't think about it. But, yeah, you probably do have to give him more time to figure it out, because you gave Jalen Hurts a decent amount of time, and look what he became.
Yeah, I mean, he's just – I got to tell you, the more I see of Brock Purdy, I think he's really, really good. But I don't think he's Jalen Hurts. And I don't think he will have the career that Jalen Hurts has. I do not believe.
Yeah, it's way early to say. I hear you. But I think that's a good way of looking at it if you're going to compare.
That was interesting. I mean, it's an interesting way to look at it.
I mean, and in 2 years, you might look at Brock Purdy and say, yeah, wow, if you put him with that Eagles team, he would have been just as good as Jalen Hurts. And, you know, we're still just like last year, I thought we were good in that people were either there, not there with Jalen Hurts, but people were very thoughtful of how they were looking at it. I don't want people to look at it any bigger than what it is. Jalen Hurts had one great year. That's one. We can't go over the top, and he's the quarterback. He's going to be the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time. I expect them to do this, that, and the other. He's had one. And you have to ride this season knowing that. He's had one really good year, almost an MVP year.
Yes.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have done that have fallen off, a lot of quarterbacks that held on to that prestige. I don't know which way he's going to go, but to overly go one way is probably not the right way to go.
That might be a little overstating it. It's going to be it will be fun to watch, but to me, it appears 49ers and the Eagles are just on a collision course. That December game is going to be wild. I mean, it's because I'm looking at who else is going to be there. I think Dallas will still be in the mix. I really do. I think they will still be almost toe-to-toe with the Eagles, like staying close enough that it bothers us. I don't really see anybody else other than the 49ers being that team that we're really going to concern ourselves with. Packers, Lions, don't see it.
Now, that
Falcons,
Dallas loss, although it happened in week 3, it could be like the Eagles lost to Washington last year. It just so happened to be week 9. Maybe Dallas goes on a run here and they get 8 straight wins. Who knows?
Could be. I mean, we saw it last year with San Fran. Nobody saw it coming, right? Hey, it's time to make you $1,000.
Win $1,000 right now. 97.5 The Fanatic's Kelly Green Cash.
Hey, it's your chance to win $1,000 in a brand new 2023 Birds Kelly Green jersey. We're not giving you a used one. Hey, text the word amount, AMOUNT, to 45911. Or you can enter it on the Fanatic app or at 975thefanatic.com. Amount to 45911. One winner selected at random wins $1,000 in the company-wide contest. Winners will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. There are complete rules available at 975thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic's Kelly Green Cash is presented by Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Demand Rand. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL. Please, never text and drive. You got around 14 more minutes to get your entry in at 45911. The words amount. Good luck. It's 8 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show. Glad to have you with us. We're going to go live now to our friend Adam Schefter, who joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline because every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. All is always brought to you by Landis Block and Concrete. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise at landisbc.com. Adam, we are thrilled to be 3-0, and it seems like Nick Sirianni tells us every week, it's great to be undefeated with a lot of stuff to work on.
Yeah.
Is that a common talking point around coaches in the NFL over the years? You've covered a ton of them.
Well, to me, it's a best-case scenario for him right now because they have not played their best football. They've played inconsistent football, but good enough football to be 3-0, to be one of the last of 3 unbeaten teams in the NFL. Amazing to think that we're 3 weeks into the season and there's only 3 unbeaten teams left.
That's wild.
We're done, right? Like, that's crazy. We got the Eagles, we got the Niners, and we got
Miami.
Exactly. 3 teams that have been, frankly, the best, most impressive teams in football so far through the first 3 weeks. But when a team isn't dominant, Philadelphia has not been dominant. It's played well enough to be 3-0, but it's left room for improvement. The defensive line played great the other night. The offense hasn't really clicked. The defense has been up and down. So that's ideal for a coach, I think, because it gives you enough to work on, and the team knows it hasn't reached its potential.
Schefter, what has clicked so far is DeAndre Swift, at least in the last 2 games, and going behind that offensive line. Now, in the time that you saw him with Detroit, is this more of a case of him running behind a phenomenal offensive line, or also, or maybe more so, a case of him given the chance to prove that he can be a number 1 back in this league?
Well, let me say this. Last year, I drafted DeAndre Swift on my fantasy team, so I watched him very closely last year. He didn't play last year the way he's playing this year, and I think it's a few factors. Number 1, I think he was hurt last year. I don't think he was fully right. And it seemed like even when he would get healthy, there'd be a setback. It just never seemed to work. I think this year, it looks like he's feeling healthier because the talent has always been there. He's an enormously gifted running back. But you combine it with the fact that you're running behind a great offensive line where he's not getting touched a lot of the times. You combine it with the fact that he's back home. You combine it with the fact that he's in a contract year with a lot to prove, that a team essentially gave him away for nothing. I mean, all those factors translate into him being a motivated running back. But now, let me also say this, that I still think Kenneth Gainwell is going to be right there with him. I know that Swift's gotten the attention and the production the last 2 weeks, but Monday night, they had similar workloads. DeAndre Swift made the most of his, but I think it may differ on a week-to-week basis to where all of a sudden this week, against what? It could be Gainwell that pops off. That could happen. Because I think Kenneth Gainwell is really good too. But DeAndre Swift, I think it's just a perfect confluence of events that have put him on pace right now. Basically, he can lead the league in rushing. That'd be unbelievable. It'd be quite a story for him, for the team. You're buying him on the cheap, essentially, from Detroit for nothing. A conditional 2025 pick. I mean, what
fourth-round pick. I mean, come on. And if he walks in free agency, you get a fourth-round pick at worst.
Well, that was the conversation I had with a few people in your organization today. I'm like, that was the whole thing. I'm like, so you're telling me, like, you gave up a pick, and if you lose him, you're going to get the pick back.
Correct. It's crazy.
It was very smart. It was a no-risk move. The salary's low. You let Miles Sanders walk. Miles Sanders gets huge amount of guaranteed money. You don't pay that money. You take on Swift at basically a minimum type contract. And DeAndre Swift is doing everything that Miles Sanders could have done.
Since you've covered the NFL, players that have stormed onto the scene and created just a giant stir across the league, is Jalen Carter approaching the neighborhood of some of those stories you've covered over the years?
Well, I'm trying to think of guys that really burst onto the scene. I think it's harder to do from a defensive position. I think it's harder to do from a defensive line position. He is absolutely making an impact and being noticed. I mean, they were talking about him an awful lot during the broadcast on Monday night. He got a lot of attention, rightfully so. And I don't know the company that you're putting him in. John, I think of
it's just storming onto the scene type of thing where
Lawrence
a guy just steals it all.
Lawrence Taylor stormed onto the scene.
Yes.
I remember growing up in New York, true story. I believe I was in fifth grade when the Giants took him. I remember I had this huge Giants fan in my class. He would always ask me the draft picks because I loved studying draft. And I said, you're going to draft this guy named Lawrence Taylor from North Carolina. And he's like, what position? I said, linebacker. And he got so angry. Another linebacker. And I remember his first game ever against the Los Angeles Rams. He came around the corner, and I believe he reached over Irv Pankey, the offensive tackle, and grabbed the quarterback while he was being blocked and threw him down. And I went, oh, we haven't seen anything like this. And that is an impact guy right away. I don't know that Jalen Carter can or will do that, but he's been great. And it's hard to imagine right now that there is a player, a rookie, playing at a higher level who's more of a favorite to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to be in contention for that. And that's enough, right? Like, if you're a major part of a great defense and a great team and a great organization, then isn't that enough, John?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, if he becomes a cornerstone player, there are going to be 7 teams because I think the Bears passed twice that will regret not taking Jalen Carter.
Well, and again, I will always remember the details of that day. And I remember bumping into Drew Rosenhaus in the hotel where all the draft prospects were, and he said, where's Jalen going? Where's Jalen going? And he goes, he's going to Philly? And I said, Drew, I don't think he's going to Philly. He said, no, and I don't think he's going to Philly. Why not? I just don't like that. I don't think they're in that market. And so Drew, to his credit, went out that day after we spoke, and he got on the phone with Jalen, but he took the initiative himself, and he called all the Eagles people with Jalen. And he called Jeffrey Lurie, and he called Howie Roseman, he called Nick Sirianni, and he had Jalen state his case as to why, if they draft him, they will not regret it. And those conversations absolutely were a factor into why Philadelphia decided to pick him that night. Initially, early on, I don't care what anybody tells me, that was not a direction they were going. And they remained open-minded, to their credit, and Jalen Carter pleaded to them and explained to them why he would be a great pick. They listened to him, they put their faith in him, and they're being rewarded for it.
Schefter, with the Washington Commanders coming in here this weekend, they start out 2-0. We saw all the euphoria of Josh Harris, Magic Johnson taking over as the ownership group. Kind of fool's gold those first 2 games, just riding that wave, and now they're knocked back down to reality of what they really are, do you think, after that loss to Buffalo?
Well, they beat Arizona, they beat Denver. And so, here's what I think they are. I think they're a good team. I think they got personnel. But the offensive line has been not great. I've watched their games too, and Sam Howell's gotten beaten up pretty good at quarterback. They actually have a lot of talent at the skill maker positions on offense. Like Brian Robinson's a tough running back, and Antonio Gibson can make plays, and Terry McLaurin is superb, and Jahan Dotson hasn't gotten on track, the Penn State wide receiver, but you would think at some point he's going to start making an impact. He hasn't yet. But the offensive line hasn't been great. Defense is good. They're a solid team. To me, they're an 8-9, 9-8 kind of team, and they're good enough to beat anybody. If you just go back to last year, Monday night, Phillies 8-0, Washington comes in. Who would have ever imagined that Washington would hand it to Philly the way it did last year? But they crushed them. So,
well, they crushed them with giveaways by the Eagles.
Okay, fine, whatever it was, John, they crushed them.
No, I get you. No, I mean they crushed their hopes. I mean I think it was pretty much a one-score game. Remember, it ended on that slide that was like the hit that and they were celebrating the fact that they got the call on a bogus hit.
I remember Washington just dominating that game. Am I wrong? I like just being the better team that night.
I think when the Eagles would have taken the lead when Quez Watkins dropped the ball, fumbled the ball on like the 10-yard line. If I'm not mistaken, it was.
Yeah, but to your point and to my point, when you get a team like Washington in, they should be Washington. But you can't make mistakes. You can't turn over the football. You can't do that against anybody. So you certainly can't do it against a division rival. And by the way, like you would have thought last weekend, Jacksonville, Houston. Houston's not going to go into Jacksonville
and win by 20.
Yeah, right.
That was crazy.
And beat a division opponent. Not going to happen, right? Like, there are a lot of people that took Jacksonville in one of their survivor pools.
Oh no, no! My 19-year-old didn't even do that. She's alive. Come on, I'm alive too.
I do a couple of survivor pools.
Oh, you do?
With my brother-in-laws, like we do it like as partners, and it's just kind of fun. So we each take a couple of entries, and I was alive with both last week, and I was going to go Seattle in both, double up, and then I heard Andy Dalton was playing. I'm like, you know what? I actually kind of think Andy Dalton is good enough to go on the road and find a way to win, and so that kind of scared me. So I split it, Jacksonville and Kansas City. So one gone, one down, one to go.
I'm in one with 105 people, and 36 people remain. I think that's crazy through 3 weeks. I mean, that's just crazy. A lot of wipeouts early on.
Oh yeah, it is a hard. We won it once. One of my brother-in-law, the least knowledgeable on football. He had,
hope he's not listening.
Yeah, I don't care. He had a team that advanced, and he wound up winning it at the end. After 12 weeks, it was amazing. So it's kind of fun.
It is fun. It is a good time. We'll talk to you next week after the Eagles go to 4-0.
I would expect that, and maybe I'll use them in my survivor this week. But I'm a little spooked after using a division team against. One of my rules is
I hate divisional games too.
I don't like to do divisional games in a survivor. I just think that's probably asking for it, and I went against it last week, and to go against it this week again, I don't know that I have the fortitude to do it. We'll see.
We'll see if you got fortitude. You definitely have the staying power. We love having you around with us on the show. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, buddy.
You sound good, John. Keep it going.
Thank you, man.
Well, everybody, we'll talk next week.
I appreciate it. Hey, Landis Block and Concrete. They'll help you create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise. You can get it online at landisbc.com. You will love it. Check out the photo gallery and decide what you want to build in your own backyard.
I haven't told you yet, but that Phillies apparel you got going on. Nice hat, nice hoodie.
Well, the hat,
doing well today.
The hat, I don't know where I got it because I've had it forever. But the Rally House in Exton.
Oh, okay.
I would just say I got this one 2 years ago, and it is, to me, it's simple. I don't like a lot, Pat, I'm not into print, a lot of words on a sweatshirt. I want the simplest logo I can find, the simplest script I can find. And
simple man, Pat.
You're a big sans script guy.
This is great stuff from Rally House. We love Rally House.
Yeah, it's a good combo you got on today.
My buddy was in town last weekend, big Philly sports fan and everything, and so he comes into town, and you got to hit the Rally House. So he hits the Rally House in Exton. And he said, I was overwhelmed. He said there was actually too much stuff.
Oh, I
said, come on now.
It can do that to you.
That's a bad thing. Too much stuff?
Yeah,
Just take your time and find the aisles and find great stuff at Rally House.
Well, for those of us with minimal means, it's hard to be able to, just pick the one thing you can get.
Well, that is tough. You have to really go in with a shopping order. And I remember last Red October, if I would suggest to you, the Rally Houses will probably open at 10 o'clock. Get in, because now that they've clinched, everybody's going to want to grab Red October stuff, hats, T-shirts, everything. So you might want to get in on it. And by the way, the first two games of the series look like we're talking about highs of 78, 77 for the day. So that by game time, which I think will be at night, you're probably talking about high 60s.
I want day baseball.
I do not want a day game.
I love day playoff baseball. I think it's the coolest thing.
You want a day game for that, Pat, for them, or?
No.
Yeah, I want night.
I don't, but there was something really cool about it being light out when Rhys Hoskins hit that home run. But
yes, that was a 4:35.
Yeah,
start.
it was. Yeah, but to me, like, playoff baseball is nighttime. Like day sports.
I get what you're saying, Bob.
It doesn't feel like a big moment.
See, when I was a kid, that was the thing. Like running home from school and watching day playoff baseball. It was the coolest thing in the world because you never had day playoff, but you never had day baseball.
You remember where there was no baseball at all.
I would say, let's think. Let's think here. We have Milwaukee hosting a wild card series, the Phillies hosting a wild card series, Tampa Bay hosting a wild card series, and Minnesota. That's what it's standing at now. Minnesota hosting a wild card series. I got to think the Phillies are primetime or after dinner. Every one of those for those first two nights.
Could be.
Because I just think that's I wouldn't see it. But Minnesota, Houston, if that was the case, that may draw some people in. We have, want you to hear from Bryson Stott, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and more. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I want you to open the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app now. And I want you and his thoughts. I take it that he's a big fan of what the Eagles have cooking. But he's always going to be the objective journalist type, try to keep it objective. But I sense that he's a believer that till somebody knocks off the Eagles, they are the kings of the NFC. It just seems that he's leaning that way.
It's like an incumbent. Hey, until you're voted out, you're not.
You got the advantage.
Yeah. And whether you're having a good year, a bad year, good couple games, bad couple of games, good enough to win all 3 games, I think you're kind of the incumbent right now in Schefter's eyes.
Bob was just asking me what would he find at Macy's backstage, and I told him. For $25 and under, sharp blazers, cozy sweaters. He loves a cozy sweater. Cargo pants. Bob is a cargo pants fiend. Jackets and more. Find the latest trends and new arrivals at a Macy's backstage store near you. Sounds like a good deal, Bob. $25? You'd be loading up. You'd be loading up on some stuff.
I can almost afford that, yeah.
There.
25, yeah.
Let's go here for a second. Jim Friss, our friend from PJ's, is checking in, and he says, we want to play day baseball when we play in Atlanta because the Braves are terrible during the day. By the way, they do have a bad record during the day. It's one of their little Achilles heels. They don't really play as well in the day games. And I was looking at that right now as it would be the Braves, Dodgers, Orioles, and Rangers. If that's as it sits right now, they would be the teams with the bye. So they would be hosting games 1 and games 2. Dodgers would get the latest.
Yeah.
I don't know if Orioles would get the earliest. They've had a great year, but I don't know the country. The Rangers aren't really a draw, but that's Dallas market. So I'm just thinking about that. I think you might have a chance for some day baseball in that series. And, Bob, I think you get your wish at that point. A afternoon game, though, Bob, a lot of people in my DMs are all like, we're Team Cooney.
Oh, really?
4:35s. Like they want the second of the 4 slots, the 4:05 or 4:15 or whatever they do it. They want that slot because they like Pat, you were saying about the Reese Hoskins in the sunshine.
Yeah,
that they wanted. It's overwhelming. I took the ads. It's 6-2, Bob. People wanting day baseball in my DMs.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, like I was telling you, Pat. We didn't get the national games, obviously, all the games that you get now when we were little. So it was running home from school in October, and it was being able to turn on the TV, and a lot of times it wasn't the Phillies, but you turn on the TV, and it was day playoff baseball, and to see the banners hanging. What are they called again, Pat?
Bunting.
Buntings.
Yeah, the bunting flags.
To see the bunting flags all over the stadium, knowing it was the playoffs, day baseball, watching teams that you could only really follow in the paper. Like the box scores, you knew every single player and you knew their lineup. That just still sticks with me. Day baseball, day playoff baseball still sticks with me. I just think
it's a
fun.
great draw. And obviously,
I love it.
Bob, in a matter of 4 minutes, I got 8 DMs and 6 went, I want the day baseball. Sunshine. They love going to a bar, watching it, maybe going to your local PJs and watching it and getting in there. So it seems
maybe it's because it's different. Playoffs are supposed to be different, right? So you have a night game. Well, you always have night games. So, that's not different. But if you have a day game, yeah, I do. And our hours, look, it's selfish. I know it is.
Again,
but
yes.
A 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock game,
So much fun.
I'm all in, yeah.
All right, I want you to hear from Bryson Stott. And Bryson Stott, to me, if I look at a guy, and we talked about it early on in the show today, and it was one of our early themes. Last year, Bryson Stott was that guy that came of age in the postseason. And by the way, he didn't have he had a poor World Series, but
horrible, yeah.
But his playoffs were really, really good in the National League, and he sort of came of age. And some of his at bats were epic: 8-pitch at bats, 10-pitch at bats. It's like he gained confidence. What did that do? That carried over to this year. The Phillies' most consistent hitter this year. I mean, Bryce Harper's there with him, but Bryce Harper wasn't there all year. Bryson Stott came of age. And one of the things that Bryson talked about after the game last night during the celebration was this team had different heroes at different times.
Like I said, one guy could go 0 for 4 one day, and the guy behind him is going to go 4 for 4, and it'll switch. And every day it was somebody new, and today it was Rojas. And, that was probably a cool day for him. But every day it's somebody new, and I think that's pretty cool.
If you had Rojas on your bingo card from the beginning of the year, you're lying. Now, Pat, was an early adopter of Rojas Mania. We are huge fans.
I'm driving that train.
Christina's maternal grandmother was a Rojas.
Okay.
So, like, great-grandmother, excuse me. So she has Rojas's in her tree. So she is like, hey, she's rooting for Johan to be the center fielder. She likes that. She's thinking maybe a cousin gets some free tickets down the line. But
last year I wanted him on the postseason roster, and this year he will be. So
yes, he will be.
It was pretty cool. Last night they had the Paul Owings award winners, which is given out to the top minor league hitter and then the top minor league pitcher in the organization, and to have both of those guys currently on the big league roster was pretty cool. Normally it's the kid shows up in a suit because he's in Double-A or something like that, and no, not this year. And Justin Crawford could have very well won it. I think he won the Florida State League MVP, which is nice. So reinforcements are certainly on the way. This team's only going to get better. We were in Clearwater talking about Aiden Miller in an Uber ride. He hit 400 with the Gulf Coast League Phillies this year. So the future's bright. And when you look at the big league club, you've got 22, 23-year-old guys out there who could probably win a Gold Glove one day because they're so good. And if their back comes along with it, then look out.
What was wrong, Bobo, was all the chatter about there was no talent in the farm. It's obvious there was talent in the farm. We just didn't know it. Or they didn't come of age fast enough for us to take notice.
Well, the turnaround has been, I don't know if I want to call it quick. Pat, you could maybe help me on this, but there has been a turnaround. Like we talked about a couple years ago. You had nothing in the farm system, but then I was kind of started to make the argument of, well, look at this team now, and you had Hoskins at first base, Stott at second base, you had Bohm, you had guys coming up through the system, and of course you replenished with spending a lot of money too. Now you're going to have like a plethora of outfielders coming from your farm system. One who is already up here now is going to be your starting center fielder come playoff time. So I think they have that really good balance of, they spent money. We all know it. That's fine. But they also have a lot of guys coming up through the system that might be pretty much stalwarts in this organization.
They did not draft well from like 2007 to 2013.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad. They were giving up first-round picks because they were signing people. And then with their compensatory picks and their second-round picks, they weren't hitting. They're drafting Kelly Dugans of the world. So for a while, it was pretty bleak there. They traded away a lot of prospects that didn't become anything. But their system wasn't, replenished. On top of it, you trade away Cliff Lee. Why? Because you wanted to replenish the system. None of those guys end up panning out. But it was a little deceiving. And I remember me and Bob, kind of pointing out, like, when you look at it, there's a decent smattering of homegrown talent here. The difference was in 07, 8, 9, 10, 11, the core of your team, the best players in your team, they were homegrown. And with this squad, the best players in your team, they're primarily bought.
You went out and bought them.
But it doesn't mean that you don't have key contributors that are, in fact, homegrown, that are really, really good players. Just because the best players in your team were bought, you still look around the diamond and you go, okay, that guy's homegrown, that guy's homegrown. That guy was a trade, but he was a trade because of homegrown talent. So it's a little deceiving for sure.
Do you believe we've seen enough to say that Rojas, Marsh, Stott, Bohm are all legs of the stool going forward?
I think
even though
they
may have to move one in a trade.
Yeah, I confidently can say it. Now, I've said before how I don't love the idea of light hitting center fielder and left fielder being out there. I do love the defense, and Pat and I have gone back and forth on this. That's just me. I'd like a little more pop from my left fielder, but if I'm getting that much defense from them out there going into a playoff, and I do have a lineup that includes 3 guys that could have 100 RBIs, and I think 5 guys with 20 or more home runs.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, maybe that's your sacrifice right there, and a great sacrifice on the other end in that you're getting great defense.
Aaron Nola talked after the game last night, and he's got to feel pretty good about the way he performed again in another postseason clinching performance, and he talked about his last couple outings.
Definitely good. Year's been up and down, definitely inconsistent. I want to be as consistent as I can just down this stretch, right? That's what matters. And but yeah, past 2 it felt really good. Hopefully I keep it going. And obviously the job's not done, right? We're just getting started.
Interesting. I like that, the down the stretch. He's in that mindset, Bob, of saying, down the stretch, I'm going to round into shape here. He sounds like he's confident in himself. Whether that's just bravado or otherwise, I liked his answer.
Oh,
I liked hearing that answer.
I liked that he said, I've been up and down all year. He knows it.
He owns it.
Yeah.
No, he owns it.
Like, we're not the only ones that are seeing it. He sees it, too, and feels it a lot more than we do. So the fact that something has changed, and I know it was against two lesser opponents, but his pitches look better the last two outings. Let's just say that. So we'll see if he can carry it through.
Last night, Pat, he was attacking. That sinker was just crushing them last night.
Yeah, can we get that more?
I think we can, potentially.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, he went out there and just looked like a man on a mission that did not want to get this series to another day. I mean, we're kicking back today and going, today doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for a week.
Yeah,
really.
it's a pretty good feeling that we're able to do that. I mean, poor Garrett Stubbs, who probably has to get behind the dish today, a little hungover. I'd bet the Pirates by $1 million tonight. I don't expect the Phillies to be really recovered from last night's performance.
Are you putting that to the Tullamore Dew?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like yes, and then some. It was nice to see Nola go out there and prove me wrong, because yesterday before we left the show, you guys went through what you thought you were to get from him, and I went under 6 and was pleasantly surprised. And he turned in a great performance.
By the way, something was asked this morning is that you guys sort of celebrating them like partying and drinking and everything like that. The players have, I've seen enough of these celebrations, transportation arranged on nights like this. So they can party in the clubhouse. They're not heading out in the roads afterwards, driving themselves.
No, they'll get driven to the ballpark where their cars will be waiting for them today.
Yes, exactly. Or they drove in yesterday and just took the ride share home or otherwise. The teams are very, very important on that. And they also, too, they'll pay for it. The teams will actually pay for it as part of it. I know that there are many organizations that have car services as part of your deal. They'll take you home, so they don't want you out there hurting yourself. Zach Wheeler, he spoke on what excites him most about a Red October. It's going to make you smile.
The fans, they really get us going, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. I mean, just playing with these guys in front of this crowd, you can literally feel the place rocking. I'm sure you can feel it up there. It's crazy. Like that, the cheer after we took our picture out there, that gave me goosebumps. And, other guys were asking, like, is that what it's like? No, that's not even close to what it's like. Harper says a 4 out of 10. So, that got me going a little bit, but, hopefully we can just win some ball games.
I like that. And you rarely hear his voice. Like, did you know Zach Wheeler's voice?
No, not at all.
Neither do I. His voice, JT Realmuto's voice, is another one that I really don't.
Harper,
Schwarber,
Schwarber, Castellanos, I kind of gotten to know. Really none of the pitchers. Nola, because he's got that kind of Louisiana twang a little bit or whatever. But, no, this isn't a team that's big on, their face being out there, their names, or not their names, their voices being associated with their names. No, they're kind of...
they're laid back.
They know each other.
Wheeler's got to love it, though. I mean, he's got to love it because there seems like a great confidence and a poise with Zach Wheeler. And I love hearing that because we need that. We absolutely need that.
Well, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last 3 years.
Yes, he has.
I mean, Pat, what do you think? Top 7, probably top 10, definitely top 10?
Definitely top 10.
Yeah.
Probably top
7.
Last couple of years? No, I might say top 5.
Okay.
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he's been lights out. I mean, his ERAs are usually 3 or under.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the outlier year for him in the Phillies uniform. So, but if you can get him going, really, all you need is to get one of the two going.
Okay,
you just need Nola or Wheeler to go in and dominate in the postseason, and I like your chances.
Are you talking about just to win one series, though? I mean, you can't have one starting pitcher and beat the Braves.
Well, I'm talking out of those two.
Oh, okay. So you need one of those two. But
yeah,
then
those two are they're your horses. And
who are
then
the others?
else.
Who are the other you're confident in?
In terms of like the starting
if
pitchers,
you're saying one of those two has
Ranger
to come
Suarez.
through for us.
I like Ranger. I think he's good. And then it's just a matter of like Sanchez is unfortunately going to be going to the bullpen, but I would maybe put him in over Walker, but it ain't going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
But like I think he's outperformed Walker.
He has.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, Walker's getting paid too much money. He hasn't been bad, but he's performed like a 4.
I don't think Rob Thompson's going to let it happen. And that sort of bothers me is that, like, Christopher Sanchez earned it. He's earned it. He's not going to get it. but he earned it. And we're going to get some double talk about, experience.
It's not double talk. The guy's in his first full year as a starter. It's probably the smart move. I understand but it's not double. You can't if you throw him out there and he gets shelled, we're going to come back and say, man, he's a first-year player. Like, you shouldn't have done. We made the same complaint about Bailey Falter last year. And
but Bailey Falter didn't get pitched for 2.5 weeks.
I was the lead candidate saying, why aren't you pitching Bailey Falter? Let's go. And he told me to shut up until they got to Game 6 of the World Series. So I hear you on it, John. I really do. But I don't think it's a fault of Rob Thompson not starting Sanchez at the beginning. He's probably going to get it. If they make a nice little run here, he's probably going to get a start in the playoffs. But I that's tough throwing a guy out there first year who wasn't even one of your starters for most of the season.
That's organizationally a Phillies thing, but it's not like a Braves thing. It's not like some of these other teams. They have different philosophies, Pat. As far as
they do.
Do you throw a kid to the Wolves, or do you just say it's best?
They might get what Bob's talking about there. They might get Rob Thompson and have PTSD from throwing Bailey Falter out there. Now, I think Bailey Falter struggled against the Padres because he hadn't really started a game in
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, a ridiculous amount of time. So I think that affected him more than anything. He was cruising up until that point. But they went into this season looking at you have 4 starters. Teams don't go into the postseason with 5 starters. They just don't. So your 5th starter, Christopher Sanchez, he's going to go to the pen. I'd be shocked if I saw him actually start a game. It's just the way it is. When you pay guys the amount of money that they're paying both Walker, Wheeler, and Nola, you're going to get opportunities.
All right, let me throw this out there real quick before we go here, John. I'm anxious to hear your answer. What pitcher is your biggest concern right now?
Biggest concern is Taijuan Walker. If you have to go to him in a critical Game 3, you're 1-1 in the wild card, and you're throwing Taijuan Walker in Game 3. That's my biggest, because we're in the wild card round. I may have a different answer in another series.
Oh yeah,
but now that's where I'm at.
How about you, Pat?
I'm still going to go with Nola
in Game 2 as a Game 2 starter.
I mean, you don't get to the NLDS without Wheeler and Nola, and you're not getting to Taijuan Walker probably. So I need one of those 2 guys to just dial in and give you 6 strong innings and just keep you in it and not give me a crap the bed performance like, 4 1/3.
Right.
And,
4 runs.
And even if they go 4 1/3, but they only give up 1 run, it's like you only went 4 1/3. I don't want to have the Wheeler inning where Wheeler all of a sudden loses command and the broadcast starts pointing it out something happened. I don't know what's going on. He needs to find his way again. I need those 2 guys, but Nola more so than Wheeler.
So mine comes after you guys.
You're Suarez.
Okay.
No.
You're Sanchez.
Kimbrel.
Schilling.
Oh, well, that's one right there.
He's really concerned me lately. Gives up that home run last night. That was a shot. And he gave up the exact
like a
same
laser.
pitch.
Laser.
And right before that, John, I don't know if you saw the foul ball. The exact same pitch, exact same shot. It was just foul. And then he gives up the home run. The reason I bring up Kimbrel is also because of what you just said, Pat. Hey, if you can get 5-6 innings of good pitching from those guys, you're going to be happy. Well, guess what? Kimbrel's going to be one of the guys he goes to. He's going to be.
Why the hell was he pitching in a non-safe situation? He's never been good.
He's switching it around now.
It's ridiculous.
He's never in his career been good.
It's not, Pat. You are absolutely right, and it's a thing. It's a thing.
Like I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised last night when it happened. You put closers in non-safe situations, or you ask closers to go more than 1 inning, and I feel like most of the time that ends up happening. They give up 1 run or more.
I don't understand what Rob Thompson's reinventing the wheel. He's got a guy this year who, by the way, as a closer, has a 2 ERA and is one of the best in baseball. It's like top 10, top 8 closer. And then, late in the season, let's try pitching him in non-closing situations and start using him. What the hell are you doing? You've got an answer. He's given you an answer. He has been exceptional at one job. And by the way, his whole career, he's been exceptional at one job. One of the all-time greats. He'll end up in the Hall of Fame. And you're changing it up 3 weeks to go in the season. You're like, well, you know what? Let's start pitching him when he's not. It makes no sense. You're hurting his confidence.
He's enamored with the righty-lefty matchup. So
it's unbelievable.
I really think come playoff time, If it's a right-handed lineup in the 8th inning, it's going to be Alvarado, and then Kimbrel will save. If it's a left-handed lineup in the 8th inning, I really believe he's going to go to Kimbrel, and Alvarado will get the save. Like that, I really think that's how he's gearing this last part of the season right now.
So he did the whole season one way and then does the end of the season another way. And he takes an answer at one position and makes it now a question mark.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's not logical.
It's going to end up costing them in the postseason.
Is it that Kimbrel was? I'm sorry, Pat. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I think it's going to end up costing them.
Yeah, but is it that Kimbrel started to get bad, so he tried something different? Or when he tried something different, Kimbrel started to get bad?
He had a 2 ERA. It's a closer. I mean, what do you want? What does Rob Thompson want?
I really think it's going to be closer by committee, just the way I laid it out a minute ago.
You're giving now. You're giving me now. You get exactly now. You're giving me scared.
What scares me is that Bob, I think, is right. I think one night it's going to be Alvarado, and the next night it's going to be. Oh my God! I just drew a blank. Kimbrel.
Yeah, it'll be Kimbrel.
Yeah, we only just talked about it for the last 7 minutes. But yeah, I think Bob is absolutely right. It's going to be this closer by committee crap, and I feel like Rob Thompson's going to be playing so tightly wound up that it ends up costing them in a situation. Alvarado can pitch pretty much anywhere. Kimbrel can't pitch anywhere. He can pitch the 9th. That's about it.
We will get your thoughts. You want to chime in on this discussion? I'd love to hear from you at 610-632-0975. Pat and I don't like the way they're handling that Rob Thompson's handling the bullpen, and I don't believe there's any logic to it that you change something that's working and say, yeah, now we're going to mess with it. But your thoughts, you may have a different opinion, like Bob, thinking that in the playoffs, it's going to be a more situation, righty-lefty type. You want to get in 610-632-0975. And I loved Bryce Harper saying this on the record last night. John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Do you
official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talking Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. You know, if your basement or crawl space smells musty or has watermarks on the block walls, get a completely free home inspection from the experts. That's BQ Basements and Concrete. Call BQ Basements and Concrete because the problem's only going to get worse. And after all the rain we've had, if you have a problem with water, I'm sure it's showing itself right now because we had nothing but rain the entire time while you were away. You want to chime in on that Phillies conversation, you can. There is something I want you to hear from Bryce Harper, but just a little note here, Bob, and I was saying now two different sort of media sources saying James Harden's not showing up for Media Day. Does that mean anything? Not showing up for Media Day?
Nah,
is it just more of a statement of,
Yeah, so Media Day is kind of, they put on the uniforms, they get their pictures taken, they go and talk to different radio stations, TV stations, get interviewed, all of that stuff. It's a pain in the ass type of day for players, coaches, GMs. Nobody really wants to do it, but you have to. No, the Media Day
it's not as big a day to worry about.
That's it. The biggest thing that ever came out of Media Day, I believe, was when Evan Turner told me that Sam Hinkie was not his general manager.
What?
Like, usually you just don't get good stuff. It's just, we're glad to be back. We're excited for the season. So him not being there, no. Is it a telltale sign of what's to come? I think it is. I just can't see this guy hanging around, being on the court. I just can't see it happening.
And we have both, Pat, been believing that we think he's going to be there and he's going to get out there and he's going to he's going to be playing for this team. I'm anxious to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't expect him to show up for Media Day because that would dominate Media Day, and I think we all know the questions he's to be asked, so there's no point. And Bob laid out usually what Media Day is. I don't care about that. It's a matter of, are you actually showing up to training camp? Because you do need to learn a new system. And are you engaged with your teammates? I don't expect Daryl Morey to be out at Colorado State for training camp.
Right.
If the issue is Daryl Morey, there's ways to go about this where you won't see Daryl Morey.
Even though there's things about Colorado that would probably attract Daryl Morey to be out there.
Very much so. Very, very much so.
Just guessing that he'd enjoy it.
I
I'd
agree
be
with
shocked,
what you're
though,
saying.
if your general manager or president of basketball operations isn't out at training camp.
Okay. You would know more than I would.
Got to be there, right?
No, I wasn't being. I'm
know more.
positive he'd be there. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's
I'll show my mic off.
We'll watch it, and we will check it out in the next few days. We're celebrating a return to Red October, which, by the way, you have 6 days to secure yourself tickets and everything. But I wanted to ask Pat, buying tickets without knowing the game time, when the game is it better to go and jump now, not knowing the game times, or does more action happen?
I would wait a couple days. The tip I gave, you can't go back in time, but it was to buy it before they even clinched. Right now, the two cheapest tickets are $170. I would think in a couple days they'll end up kind of going down a little bit, so I would wait. But the 4:00 game time is gonna. If they end up playing at 4:00, it's gonna mess some people up.
I would think so too.
The 4:00 game will probably be cheaper than the 7, 8 o'clock game.
Oh, I think it would. Because there's people that just don't want to take
work.
I heard a couple. Vinny Gallo checked in. Coach Gallo checks in. He said, "Look, I got to work. I don't want a day game." It was
Totally
one of those
understand
ones.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Philly QB Factory said, "I'd love a night game because I'm heading down for game one and I don't want to call off work." And look, it's part of it. But overwhelmingly, Bob, it was overwhelming in my DMs. People saying they want the day game. They love the day baseball.
Yeah, it's
but not
just
the early
different.
one, not the early start.
Oh.
They want the later start in the afternoon that gets them to before dinner time, takes them through dinner time.
Yeah, and as I said, it's a selfish thing. We're usually out of the office and home by noon, so we have the rest of the day to kill. It is. It's a little kid thing. It takes me back to running home from school to watch. A lot of times it was the Oakland A's and the Cincinnati Reds, and it just takes me back to
Boston
that time.
and the Yankees. I remember that game.
It takes me back to that time, which was a great, great time. So Maybe just, in my inner workings, that's why. I don't care. Baseball in Citizens Bank Park for the playoffs is just unfreaking believable anyway. So it could be at midnight for all I care. It's going to be crazy and fun.
Bryce Harper, after the game last night, I think he said it perfectly. And for every Philly fan, this is the right answer.
Winning that World Series. That's it. I mean, that's plain and simple. That's all we want to do. We weren't able to do it last year, but we're going to take it one game at a time like we did and, get into it and, hopefully have some fun on Broad.
I was told it was a loser mentality here. And Scotty sends me emails and DMs a lot. And Scott says, John, I'm surprised you have a loser mentality like that. And he said, I'm not calling you a loser, but your mentality about what you will be pleased with from this Phillies team is sort of a loser mentality.
Oh, what a loser!
He says it's a to be saying I'll be okay if they play really well in the NLDS. They win the wild card series, play really well in the NLDS, and lose a heartbreaker or whatever. I'm not going to see that as a bad thing or a huge disappointment. He thinks that's a loser mentality. And he's not. He said, I'm not calling you a loser because I just think that mentality is defeatist going in.
I just said I can't be pleased if they lose. Well, like what? They lose a 1-0 game, so what? You're not going to be mad at the hitting for not getting you more than one run?
Yeah, but I'm talking about evaluating the season. I am not going to look at the season.
Well, you don't look at this season. You don't. I mean, out of all of us, I don't think you look at this season as a really successful one.
No, not yet. But if they win
one round of baseball, that's going to make you.
If they win, and then they play the best team in baseball, and they play, balls to the wall, kick butt. It's a nail biter. They get some win. They really make them sweat the entire time, and they lose a heartbreaker. No, I'm not going to look at it as a bad thing. I really am not. I'm not going to look at that as wow. That's really not good. Hey, by the way, I've gotten a hold of something too. The tentative series would tell you that the first wild card game would be the last of the 4 slots. So it would be a night game on October 3rd. That is wild card 2 plays wild card 1 in the latest spot. That is tentative, but that is the matchup right now that it would look like. So, and again, wild card 2 at wild card 1 also has the late spot in game 2. That includes, that's pretty good there. So, Pat, that would be 2 night games. So maybe, and this is a very good source, making sure I have this information. So
I like 2 night games. I prefer that.
You'd rather have 2 night.
Yeah,
that'd be 2 night games.
The moment feels bigger. I don't know. With day baseball to me in the playoffs, the deeper you go, it gets later and later, and there's something kind of really cool about like the crisp in the air, and you got the under the lights. I like it.
I do get a little. So, and by the way, it is also game 3.
Well, you can't go 2 night games and then come back with a day game.
Game 3 would be scheduled into that same spot. Yeah. So obviously they're looking at NL Wild Card 1 that the Phillies are a huge, huge draw, and that they've got the opportunity to kick butt in that spot. So that's pretty good. Yes.
Yeah, they could come out as being, if you're a national fan of baseball and maybe not a follower of just one. The Phillies could come out as being one of the most fun team, maybe the most fun team of this playoff run.
Oh yeah,
you get the hitting, you get the personalities, you get all of the spotlight of Citizens Bank Park. There's a lot of fun there going on that could attract the nation. Should they not be tied to exactly one team, much like games here at Citizens Bank Park last year. I mean, the national media was just enthralled with it.
I think there are fans who just hate us. I don't think they hate that team. I think they hate the fans. Yeah. I think we're hated. I don't think that it's I don't think that we're the Phillies team. I don't think can really be hated. They're really good. They've got a real good setup here.
Yeah, Eagles are really good too, and fans hate us all over. Football fans hate us more than anything. Therefore, probably the Eagles get a lot of hate also.
They do.
Yeah, Phillies haven't been good enough to warrant that hate. Like the Eagles. We're 14-3. Eagles went to the Super Bowl. Eagles have us as fans. That's enough to hate all over the country. The Phillies haven't been relevant. I mean, last year they got there. It was kind of a Cinderella run. Haven't been relevant since, the early 2000s. So, I don't think there's a lot of hatred towards Philadelphia Phillies.
So
At
if
least
you're-
I
I
don't
don't
feel
know.
it.
I mean,
don't
a
know.
lot.
No, I think the Phillies are almost likable. Like for
To
other
us.
for other fans.
I don't know. I don't think they are. I think it's the Philly fan thing. I think there is
Okay.
a negative perception.
Well, I know that, but that's not the players.
It's not, but it still carries with the team. And you guys are forgetting, like, Bryce Harper is not well liked.
Yeah, he's
around
not
baseball.
well liked.
I mean, we love him because he's ours, but he's not well liked. Kimbrel, I didn't like Kimbrel till he, put on a Phillies uniform, but with the arm thing, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people in Wichita.
The arm.
Yeah, the arm thing.
He's one of the
around.
greatest closers of
I
all
didn't
time.
say he wasn't.
No, I'm just saying.
I think this stance is stupid. You're never changing my mind on it. I hope that he has this stance when it's an 0-2 count to win the World Series.
the Hall of
But I'm
Fame,
going to be
he'll
sitting
wear
there
it.
going, this is a dumb stance. But it worked for him. But I don't see a lot of people in Wichita cheering for the Phils. I don't
Wait a minute.
I hope I'm
that's,
wrong.
That's right near where JT's from. So maybe
He's from Tulsa.
Yeah, but I mean the Wichita market's very close. I would think they'd be into JT.
They might.
My
They might.
mom from the grave. Whenever
Yeah,
JT,
a lot of women would be into JT.
we're asking, the interventions, watching games. Now my wife is starting to do the, hey, like, come on. Oh, gee, this guy sucks at this point. Come on. I'm glad to see it. She's picking up the Philly fan.
Yeah, I did pick a bad place because Alec Bohm went to Wichita
Right,
State.
exactly.
So I apologize.
Go pick another-
Let's go with Des Moines, Iowa.
Genoa City, Wisconsin. Something like that. Just
That's
pick
a great
something-
one. That is a phenomenal one.
No one in Genoa City is rooting for them.
I don't think so.
No chance. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. And for details, go to Bagster.com. And boy, it is a
Bobby, do you want to come up with a city maybe?
You got a city?
That won't cheer for Phil?
Iowa.
Tacoma, Iowa.
Tacoma.
That's horrible, Bob.
No, it's a MASH reference.
It's horrible, Bob.
That's
I
where
came up
Radar
with a
was from.
city.
Radar
and
was from?
Radar was from Tacoma, Iowa.
I'm coming up with cities. John's coming up with cities. And you
I
come up
just
with
gave you one.
horrible, Bob.
Didn't he die in the helicopter? No, that was Henry Blake.
Colonel Henry Blake.
Yeah, that was
Lieutenant
Blake.
Colonel Henry Blake has been killed.
And I did not.
R.I.P. to him, by the way.
Japan.
He did, Pat, one of the dumbest decisions ever in the history of television.
What did he do? I wasn't a
he
MASH
left
guy.
a hit show MASH. I didn't watch it either, so I'm not a fan. But I mean, I'm sure I understand the greatness of the show with a lot of people, but I just never was into it. He left MASH, a hit show, and he was one of the main characters, to go do Hello Larry, a sitcom on NBC that lasted it was terrible, and he never went back. It's sort of like David Caruso with NYPD Blue. Made the decision. You didn't watch NYPD Blue? You watched
No.
Blue Bloods. I thought you'd watch NYPD.
It does seem kind of like the
And he
same
was
show.
from Ottumwa, Iowa. I mispronounced that.
Ottumwa?
So you
Iowa.
can't even get the city right.
I just did.
Yeah, it's
Well, after your correction.
after a correction.
You know where
on
the
that
other
one.
guy was from?
No,
What's
I
his
don't. I
face?
don't care.
From MASH?
No. Hey, Bob wants to ask us a question.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
I apologize, Bob.
Bob wanted to ask a question about the Eagles and their normal week, which sort of is. This really isn't a normal week because it is still a short week, but you point that out.
But it's the most normal, I think, for the season, right? I mean, you go into game one is game one. You only have 4 or 5 days between game, you go to that one. Then you have the long break, and it's Monday Night Football on an away game. This, to me, just seems like, okay, you're done Monday night, boom. You play Sunday at 1 o'clock. This just seems to be the most normal of the weeks. Yeah, it's a shorter week, but I just think we're going to this is the week for the first time this year, I have that feeling of normalness, that we're going to see a normal Eagles game, that you're going to see probably what you expected. It's going to be 1 o'clock at home. It's the normal tailgate. Everybody's there at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be beautiful. You got the green jerseys. Like, it's just going to be a normal day to me. And I think this week leading up to it is going to lead to a normal Eagles game, in which case what Washington is this year could be a pretty thumping win.
I love the 1 o'clock starts. I just think it means my whole Sunday starts out a certain way. Like, get up at a certain time, go have some breakfast, do something to pass some time because I'm going to need to pass some time. And I don't watch the pregame shows that much. So I want to get to the Kincade around 12:50 and set the TV up, be ready to go, and then get ready to watch this game. The only thing about the 1 o'clock game is it's the game where there's the most games being played, the time slot, And I do enjoy bouncing around and seeing other teams, and I don't get to see them when it's an Eagles game because I am not doing the flipping channels routine. I am not let's flip to the Buffalo game during the TV timeout.
No.
Halftime, I will.
No, I'll just keep the channel on and let them show me the highlights of what's happening. No, Eagles game, it's you don't change a channel. At least in my house, yeah. Don't change a channel. Don't have split screens. Don't have two TVs going on.
Oh.
No, it's just that.
You brought up split screens. I forgot to bring this up with you the other day. You guys were at the game and got to see the Eagles game. ABC literally makes some really dumb decisions. One of them, they kept going split screen from the time the Cincinnati Rams game kicked off. And they went to split screen, I would say, minimum 25% of the time the rest of the night. So it was a split screen.
Oh, God.
It was terrible.
That's horrible.
We don't care about the Rams.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad job by them. And
Bengals.
You got to put that on another channel.
Well,
or something
it was on another channel. That game was on ESPN.
No, but I'm saying like you have to put the split screen option on one of the 17 ESPN channels. You can't be doing that.
It was.
I did find it interesting because I went back and watched the highlights of the game.
Okay.
And one of the highlights was
a split screen.
And I thought, that's weird. It must have been just a scoring play or something like that.
No.
I didn't realize it was like half the game.
It was so dumb. And people were going and I was thinking to myself, you guys are there, so you're not experiencing this. I was so frustrated to go, it's an Eagles game. Take it off the damn split screen. It made no sense.
Yeah, that's odd. That's not good. I don't like that. If they're going to do Monday night doubleheaders, I don't need to see that. I thought the weirdest thing being in the stadium, John, what was it, the third quarter, Pat, where they turned out the lights and people took out their iPhones
you don't like that?
It was right before the fourth quarter. I liked it. It just made
Caroline?
No, dude.
Or what
were
was
you
the song?
even there?
No.
What was the?
They sang the John Denver song.
Oh yeah.
Wait, thank God I'm a country boy.
No, they sang West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia. I'm sorry.
Country Road, take me home.
What was that?
Even Andy came in and went, "Sweet Caroline." Like, dude, you were there.
Seriously.
What
we
was that
sang
about?
together.
All right, shut the hell up. What was that about?
I don't know, Bob.
I got to look at the history of it and find out why they're sweet.
Why
they're
Country
singing.
Road?
I don't know.
It was a great song, and we all enjoyed it. I thought we did at least. I thought me and Bob and Andy had a good.
I sat there with my mouth agape saying, why are these people doing this?
No, you sang
Did
along.
he sing?
No.
Yes, you did.
Wait a minute.
I vividly remember you screaming in my ear, "Mountain Mama!"
I don't think
stop
there's
lying.
I don't think there's a Pat. I don't see you as lying. I think Bob maybe thought it was a banger.
I think Bob might have.
It was just weird. Like the whole
fourth
crowd
quarter of a football game. Imagine what
the whole crowd. No, the whole crowd was just weird. You know, like the guys that gave up around us at halftime. The people that tried to smack talk a little bit after the Eagles got a first down just kind of stopped.
We didn't even talk about the guy next to Andy.
Well, the guy. You mean the guy from Jersey?
No,
because I heard that story yesterday.
No. So
it was really interesting.
So Andrew sits down.
Okay,
and we have not bothered anybody. Right?
You just sit down and you're talking amongst yourself.
We sit down, and this dude starts going in on Andy. He's wearing a Bucs shirt, and Andy hasn't even said anything to him. And he starts saying how, well, I was a Patriots fan for a while, but
I heard that,
and I'm not really even a Bucs fan, but I'll cheer for them against this scumbag Philly team. And finally, Andy was like, "All right, dude, I tried to be nice to you, but like if this is gonna continue, it's gonna get nasty." So
did he say that to him?
Yeah, he basically told, and he shut up. And the guy didn't even know the rules. At one point. There was a play on the sideline.
It was the AJ Brown.
Yes,
right.
And he starts saying, "Well, I think they can now challenge if it was out of bounds."
No, it was a false start on
a false start. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he starts saying, "Well, now they can challenge that." Me and Andrew are like, "I don't think they can." Yeah, he left in the third quarter. But
you're kinder than I am.
Yeah,
I would honestly say
it wasn't going to get the blows, but Andy was like, "I'm going to embarrass you, so please take my kindness as."
If someone started in on me and I don't know them and they just sit down and they start in on me, I do not consider that like playful banter. If it's just like, "Hey, how you doing? Where you from?"
Yeah,
that's great. But if it's going in on somebody, I would literally say, "Dude, shut the hell up."
That's what
I have no interest in dealing with.
Most of the people around us were really nice.
Yeah, they were. Everybody was cool.
Even the guy from Jersey that left in like the second quarter.
Yeah,
we were joking around with him. Yeah, we were. It was weird, but we were joking around with him, and like when the Eagles would make a play, I'd be like, "That was nice," and then when when Mike Evans would make a one-handed grab, I'd go, oh, that's, good
Nice
play.
catch.
Yeah, like we were respectful of each other and whatnot. But this dude, I don't know what his deal was, but like he came there. I turned to Bob at one point and said, I don't know if like an Eagle slept with his wife or what, but this guy is way too invested in cheering against the Birds in a game that the Eagles are going to end up winning.
I'd have a theory of which Eagle it was. If you had a grudge.
I think we have the same defensive tackle. And I just gave the position. My bad.
Let's see what Terrence has to say. Terrence, you're in on this. What's the country road song with Tampa? I don't get it.
It's something really new. Last year when we played Seattle in Germany, the whole stadium started singing it. And then when they came back, it just kind of took off. It's really new to all of us, to be honest.
So you are. Tell us why, Terrence, you say we when you say Tampa.
I'm a Bucs fan.
No, but I mean, are you a Tampa resident? Have you been a Tampa resident?
No. I'm from here.
Why are you a Bucs fan?
Grew up with it.
What do you mean you grew up with it?
I grew up as a Bucs fan.
Leroy Selman was your defensive lineman that you love.
Warren Sapp was. I grew up around that time, so,
Did you happen to be at the game and leave in the second quarter? Were you at the game, and did you leave in the second quarter by any chance?
Absolutely not. I was still here. I typically do go, but I didn't make it this time.
Wow. Terrence, I mean, you chose to be a Bucs fan. What about your dad? What about your mom? What about your cousins and uncles?
Okay, yeah, so I can explain all of that. So my dad is not from here, and he's from Savannah. So he grew up a Raiders fan.
What?
So I didn't have like that, growing up, like, he's got to be an Eagles fan because I'm an Eagles fan. So, like, I didn't want to be a Raiders fan. So that's really how where my fandom took off from, because I did my own thing.
You must have hated that Super Bowl. You and Dad against each other.
I had a lot of fun that night.
Oh, I bet you did. Good job, Terrence. Check in with us again, okay, buddy?
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Good to hear from Terrence. That's really strange to me because I don't think of country roads and.
I think I remember
Tampa
that game over in Germany last year when they sang that, though. I think I remember, and we were all going. I thought we talked about it on air too. Saying,
I think we did too.
What the hell was going on with that?
It does sound familiar, and look, we all got into it, but it was like, this is because we're in Florida.
Well, the major
exactly
cities
in West Virginia.
The major cities in Florida. If you were to say,
and I was singing the wrong song,
Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. Tampa is the most country of it. The most pickup trucks. The most sort of southern.
Look,
it's the most southern of those things.
That is great.
By a mile.
That would be great if it was literally any other song that doesn't directly say West Virginia.
And Haley's saying.
When it says West Virginia in it, like it's kind of, okay, let's find another song.
Haley says, well, I'm a West Virginia alum. It's our song. And a lot of West Virginia alum are in Florida. I'm like, they're not playing it for West Virginia alums.
They're absolutely not.
They're not. There's something else to it. And by the way, Tampa, they need something. Because they just don't. I
don't know what their song would be. I mean, it's got to be Yo Ho, Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for me.
I would say so. That'd be a great song for it.
They do have a pretty cool little video, like a little hype video before they like come out to the stadium.
Yeah.
I will say, I'll give them that. That was pretty cool. But then they got their ass kicked.
No, they did. And we're glad they did. We're glad you were there for it with Philly Sports Trips. And Sunday, you will be with Philly Sports Trips again, Bob.
Oh, yeah, we will. We're going to be down doing the tailgate. You got to come on down. For those of you that haven't been down there yet, we're going to be right at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. It's your game day headquarters. You can pregame the Birds at the ultimate tailgate, just steps away from the stadium. It's going to be Andrew. It's going to be Pat. It's going to be me. We're going to get there for the FanDuel pregame show. Come on down. Check it out. Get on PhillySportsTrips.com if you want to be a part of it.
And you said you can get a season ticket, right?
You can get a ticket, and then you can you don't have to worry about where you're going to tailgate, and it's a top-notch production because you've got Bob Cooney there, right? Who doesn't want to hang out with Bob? But also, I mean, the food was incredible. The drinks were flowing. Great. Yeah, I mean, and then you got E-Rock is spinning some tunes and whatnot. It was a really, really fun time. And I'm not usually a tailgate guy, but Vince Rizzuto and the gang from Philly Sports Trips can throw a party.
If you are Brian Johnson, you don't want to hear what Pat Egan has to say next about your play calling. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'd rather run with the Bulls than deal with more BS. And if you need IT services, your company needs to thrive. And Graffin takes care of you. Their Power IT support is a game changer for businesses in the Philly metro area. Graffin Business.
to 97.5 The Fanatic everywhere. On Alexa at 975thefanatic.com, the Fanatic app, and now on Odyssey.
Hey, imagine if your favorite casino came with an undo button. Well, guess what? You get that with FanDuel Casino's Play It Again. Get up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. You get to play your favorite table games and hundreds of slots for real cash. See why FanDuel Casino is the #1 rated online casino app. So many great things to do with their daily and their weekly promotions. When you play, you're playing with a live dealer. And if there's ever any questions that you have, they have an in-class customer support team that's there 24/7. So sign up for FanDuel Casino with FanDuel.com/Bob today and play it again with up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. That's FanDuel.com/Bob. 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania, must not have previously placed any wager on FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel Casino, Betfair Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, or Stardust Casino. Refund issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. Remember the Bagster? It's Dumpster in a Bag. Thanks for bringing us the 9 o'clock hour. Haley was just texting me, what am I going to find at Macy's backstage? I told her, fall finds for $25 and under, like sharp blazers, cozy sweaters, cargo pants, jackets, and more. Find the latest trends and new arrivals at a Macy's backstage store near you. We're joined by John in Warminster, who knows the Country Roads song answer. John, do you know this officially from Tampa? Or do you know this?
No, I know this officially because I did 2 overseas tours in Germany.
Thank you for your service, dude. Thank you.
Serving in the military. And, this goes back to 1981 to 83, my first tour, and then again 95 to 98. And I'm telling you, anytime you went to a fest, an Oktoberfest, all these villages would have their own individual celebrations. As soon as they knew Americans were there, they would link arms with you, and you'd swing back and forth, and it was like a cult song, this John Denver Country Roads.
Okay.
And the whole entire place would be standing singing this damn thing with the Americans. It happened so many times, just about every weekend when we were out. So I have to think, whoever it was said the NFL played in Germany last year, there's no doubt in my mind that's probably what transpired.
Well, there's a big, too, in Tampa, there is the big naval base. What's it, is it McGill, or is it, it might be McGill, yeah.
At McDill Air Force Base.
Yeah, it might be.
McDill.
By the way, you know the Navy is now run by an O'Hara grad.
By
Did
who?
you know that? Sam Paparo. Sam Paparo, the 4-star admiral, is now, I think he's now the highest ranking naval official, and he's an O'Hara grad. How about that? He was in my class. He is the 64th commander of the United States Pacific Fleet. How about that one?
General Kelly, years back, he graduated from Temple. That's where I went to ROTC.
It's
and
good
he was
Philly
also
people.
High up in the Army ranks.
Thanks for your service, John. We appreciate you, buddy.
Got it. Absolutely. Go Phils.
Thanks, go Phils. Love that one. Go Phils. As we get ready for Red October coming up on Tuesday.
It's not a bad song. Don't know if every time I went to a festival and I was serving my country that's what I'd be locking arms in, but...
Well, Country Roads take you home, right? You're trying to say get home.
Why do you hate the troops?
No, what are you talking about?
That's what I took out of that comment. I don't know.
You need to listen to other comments then.
No, I mean you need to listen to other songs. Thought it was Sweet Caroline there, bud.
Yeah, I mean I hate the Sweet Caroline. I hate it. The Boston Red Sox, they get the pass. It's their song. I don't like it when other teams start bogarting it and use it as their own. It was one of my issues with Dancing on My Own. That's a Red Sox thing, and then you bogart it. Come on,
man. Our issue with Dancing on My Own was it was a bad song.
Well, I mean that's 1A, Pat. With me, that's 1A on that one. But
it's just not good.
It's just not. But you know what?
I mean, it can become good when I associate it with them going far in the playoffs. But yeah, I hope they come up with something else.
Yeah, that we will. Hopefully, they'll find something at some point. You know what Rob Thompson did though? I saw the video just here on social media. You know, he went up last night and congregated all the workers and addressed them.
Oh, cool.
So while the players were celebrating in the clubhouse and everything like that, Topper goes upstairs
and thanks all the people who work in ticket sales and all the people that are, just saying thank you for your time because you helped make this happen. That's a great move. That really, really works.
Yeah,
too.
that's awesome.
That's top notch.
That's a classy move right there. I think a lot of managers wouldn't think of doing, and the fact that in that celebration he thought of those people is
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good job by Topper.
By the way, it did appear last night, and I was in and out on it, that Charlie Manuel was there last night. Was in the building last night.
I saw them at one point. They said Charlie Hayes.
Oh, it was Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes with Larry
good.
Boa, yeah.
Okay, so hopefully we're hoping Charlie's fine and that Charlie will be able to make a real full recovery. Things look really positive for Charlie Manuel. See, I came in on it late, and they were saying, there's Charlie, and you couldn't really tell in the box, so they're showing a picture.
So Charlie Hayes' son, former third baseman of the Phillies, his son plays for the Pirates.
And that Pirates team, they've got some good young talent.
They do. I mean, Henry Davis was first overall pick 2 years ago.
Why do they have him in right field?
Because the catcher that they have is a better defensive catcher.
Okay, so
and performed pretty damn well in the minors.
You drafted a guy number 1 overall as a catcher.
Yeah,
and you're going to use. I guess maybe you could look at it like it's a Harper thing.
Well, yeah, Harper was drafted as a catcher out of
Las Vegas High School or something.
No, it was Las Vegas community.
You thought about going there,
college. Right? Yeah. The college. It was the College of Nevada. The College of Nevada. It was a JUCO, but he got drafted as a catcher, and immediately they put him in right field. So it's not unheard of. I mean, Jason Worth was another example of a guy that was drafted as a catcher, and Kyle Schwarber too. He got drafted as a catcher.
So you're looking at it as the Pirates. They're saying our investment in this guy long term is going to be far better as an outfielder.
He wasn't drafted for his catching ability.
Oh, okay.
He happened to play catcher. The kid that they have now is. He calls a game better. He frames pitches better. He's just better defensively, and his bat was also pretty good this year. So Henry Davis kind of got called up based on pedigree. I mean, he had a fine year, but when you draft a kid number 1 overall, you want to sell some tickets. That's one way to do it. They were talking about bringing up Skeens, the number 1 pick from this past year, for the same reason. Just like they got nothing to lose for it.
Did you just smack somebody?
My ring hit the board.
Oh, I didn't know if you
accident.
smacked somebody.
Yeah,
it's very emphatic.
Sometimes I just get really impassioned when I talk about the Pirates minor league system that I just start throwing hands.
Pat, $10 free bet tonight, made into a same game parlay, and I'm betting on your Pirates. That tonight the Phillies are going to be hungover.
Oh, the Buccos. That's
Buccos
right.
tonight.
Raise the Jolly Roger.
Phillies are going to be hungover.
We're going to be singing Country Roads.
And that's what it's going to be. So
just me and the Bucks fans.
I used a free wager on my BetParks app. So
I wouldn't go that far. Like we were talking about parlays before the Bucks game and the Tampa Bay Bucks game, and Andy had a couple that were pro Bucks in there, like Mike Evans to get over 3 catches or something. I was like, I can't do that. I can't.
You couldn't do it then.
I can't bet on. Usually, I can't. In certain situations,
you told me it was a lock, so I bet it.
I do think it's a lock.
Okay,
but I don't want to be sitting there cheering against a squad.
I honestly, I'll watch tonight with one eye open.
Well, one of the things you can look for, at least, is Rob Thompson said yesterday that they're going to get Kerkering out there again today.
Love it.
So that's something that you want to watch for. You still want to, there's some things. You're going to get a half-ass lineup tonight, as we know. I'd like to see a little bit
with
of a
Rob
power.
Thompson, we won't be able to tell.
Yeah, I'd like to see a power. Man, you hate Rob Thompson.
No, it's just his lineups.
I'd like to see.
I like logic.
Some of his lineups either there.
I like logic, Bob.
I don't need to see Jake Cave again.
Never mind. It doesn't matter what I'd like.
No,
to see.
I don't want to hear what you want to see.
Later. Okay.
You didn't even know that it was Country Roads. You thought it was Sweet Caroline.
I like Sweet Caroline better. We didn't sing West Virginia in the bars when I was growing up, but we did sing Sweet Caroline.
Well, but.
What was that? The Rage Band?
Aha.
Was that the Rage Band down at the Springfield?
No, it was in Maloney's.
In Maloney's.
Is it still open?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know, dude. Why would I know
think
that?
it would. Well, you're not a Shore person.
Yeah, I'm not.
5 years ago.
There you go. 5 years closed?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
At least.
Rest in peace.
Let's pour one out for Maloney's.
Well, I mean, the Springfield Inn, I think I still have sneakers that whenever my sneakers get tacky, like you stepped on something, I'm like, man, I'm back at the Springfield. It's got that beer on the floor, the beer cocktail mixes.
It's like my kitchen.
On the floor. I gave you some play-by-play. Did you find it, Pat?
I did
Brendan?
find it, yeah. I have not listened to it.
You have not listened to this. Bob, you have not listened to this. Listen closely to this play-by-play last night. Brandon Gaudin, who many people know from the Madden games, is the play-by-play voice of the Braves. Listen to this. This is an amazing, amazing call.
So the Braves will go from Johnson to Hand, and the batter will be Mastroboni. That's probably a good thing Jeff Francoeur's in the other booth.
Because Jeff would handle that like a 5-year-old.
I saw that this morning, and I think we all would have handled it the same way.
I would not have handled it with grace and dignity. I'll tell you that much.
But
it would have been tough.
I love how he delivers it, though. So the Braves will go from Johnson to Hand, and Mastroboni is the next guy up.
Sounds like my usual Saturday night.
And that would be, and if Francoeur had not been doing the national broadcast, he would have been giggling through that like a fifth grader.
Sometimes sports gives you the simplistic joys, and
That's
in that
incredible.
situation, when Johnson goes to Hand to face Mastroboni, that's it right there.
That's awesome.
That just kind of brings me a little smirk. And
It's almost like having a Cox and a Johnson on the same team.
And then they penetrate
And
through
a
the
long
hole.
one.
And it was long. Then they did that on the bench.
Yeah, long and Cox, same time.
Pat, I had to stall a little bit because Brian Johnson wasn't going to be able to listen until 9:33. But I wanted him to hear, in Pat's point of view, what you thought of some of his play calling.
This is Pat's point of view. Here's Pat.
Hi, guys.
Brian, welcome to the show, by the way. Glad you're listening.
I am interested to hear what, John, especially you think, because you were at home watching the game, and it's different when you're watching the game at home as opposed to in the stands because you can't hear the analysis. You can't see kind of the plays develop and whatnot at times. I thought his red zone play calling was absolutely atrocious. I think it's been pretty atrocious. And it's just something that I really, really, really want to see cleaned up this week. I don't understand he's getting comfortable in the role, and this isn't, freaking out because they're 3-0, and that's the ultimate goal is to be 3-0. But I was really disappointed with they would get into the red zone, and then it just seemed like they would sputter and stall out, and I really feel like a lot of it was the play calling. I turned to Bob and Andy a couple times and just was like, what the hell is that? What the hell are they doing? It probably encapsulated by the 4th and 2. The decision to go for it on 4th and 2 was Nick Sirianni's. I'd be very interested to find out if the decision to go to Kenny Gainwell on 4th and 2 is Nick Sirianni or Brian Johnson. But the play call in itself, I got to go with the guy who's calling the plays, and that's Brian Johnson. Just haven't been really impressed with what he's been able to do. And am I off base with it from a guy that watched it with a different perspective than me and Bob?
Do you respect Troy Aikman?
No.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Right.
He's good.
He says how about this? He wrote words that I wrote down. He said puzzling. Some of the play calling from Brian Johnson is puzzling. And he talked about the fact that him and Jalen Hurts have to get into a rhythm and start to get comfortable with each other about the red zone, discussing the red zone play calling.
Yeah.
I find a lot of what Brian Johnson's doing right now learning on the job. I don't know that I'd go to atrocious, but I would say I think puzzling's a good word by Troy Aikman.
I mean, it seems like the offensive MVP this season so far has been Jake Elliott because too many times, and it happened in week 1 where first drive of the season, they were driving, they looked great, they got in the red zone, and they stalled out. Maybe it's just poor execution, but I do think it's an area that they can definitely improve on. Now, when you're looking at the coaching staff, what is an area that you think they can improve on that is solely in the hands of the coaching? And I'll steal the one of red zone play calling. I think that can absolutely be improved. But what's yours?
I'll go with defensive line schematics, stunts.
Okay.
Different things that they did so well last year. Now, Pat, you and I mentioned it to you once, I know, during the game. I don't. It was funny. I don't think you heard me, so I didn't dive into it. I was like, I'm not seeing it, and you didn't hear me, but I was waiting to tell you, like, I'm just not seeing guys from the outside coming in and inside going out and all that stuff. Now, it could be a thing that Sean Desai is so impressed, and rightfully so, that Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are taking up so many blockers, and that the other guys should get where they want to go easily enough. But I'm just not seeing a lot of scheming that way. And I haven't watched the game a second time on TV yet. I'll do that this afternoon.
I would say what they could improve on is I'm going to go into the defensive secondary that I see more guys running free in the middle of the field than I saw entirely last season. But I think that'll tighten up. And when Blankenship was in, it was a lot better. It was absolutely a lot better having him back. So I think that's one thing, is just tightening up that middle section of the field. Because what I'm seeing is, I'm thinking of Tua, I'm thinking of Purdy, and some of those other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, running those slant patterns and just moving the chains and eating the Eagles up across the middle of the field.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I said it's the red zone.
Is there another one?
No, it's pretty much. I mean, look, yeah, okay, the pass rush, and I say that seemingly every show that we have.
But there it is.
But yeah, I mean, if Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are really getting double teamed as much as we're seeing, and the stats go out there of how many times and whatnot, it's leaving somebody open. That somebody's not getting to the quarterback, and it was something I noticed on the first drive, like Baker Mayfield dropping back, and a few times it's play action fakes, and he still has like all day to throw. That's pretty concerning for me. But that can improve. But my big one is it's the red zone, the red zone play calling, because without that, you're not going to win many games when Jake Elliott's your MVP. And after 3 weeks, that dude's been lights out. Awesome. But I need to see them punch it in more outside of the red zone. And they're just it's a weird play calling and weird design when they get into within the 20.
You make sorry, John. You make a great point. You're up 22-3, I believe, early fourth quarter, and you have first down at the Tampa Bay 6. Now think of that. They're going to go for 2. You could be up 30-3. And instead they mess around. You get up the middle, nothing, up the middle -4. Jalen Hurts drops back, gets sacked for -6, and then you're kicking a 26-yard field goal to make it 25-3. You're right, Pat. That used to be so efficient last year. Like, that was a touchdown no matter what, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I just like, I'd have to go back and look exactly what it was. But when I see something happen in a game where more than twice I'm going, what the hell was that? What are they doing? It kind of gets concerning. Once or twice is one thing, but just 4th and 2, and then running the ball, and then even the Jalen Hurts run, the design run he had. I like the idea of it. In that moment, though, I was questioning it. I think there was a 3rd and long play where they did like a draw. I wasn't a fan of it, and I think Brian Johnson will get more comfortable with it as the season goes on. But it's just something that I'll be looking at this upcoming Sunday and see if it got cleaned up or not.
You know why you were absolutely right, Pat, about what you're bringing up? I got a number for you here, and you prompted me to look at it. Do you know how many field goals already Jake Elliott has made this year?
Oh, I would go with 9.
He's made 9 in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you know how many he made last season? All season, 17 games.
22. 20? Wow.
20.
Yeah.
That tells you that the play calling in the red zone is not up to snuff. That is a absolute setup right there, that when you're settling for field goals. He kicked 20 field goals all last year. They only attempted 23 field goals in a 17-game season last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty telling number.
And that's Pat. Pat, you get credit for that one there. 23 attempts all last year. They attempted 23 times. They've already attempted 10 this year. That's an incredible telling stat about how the offense is stalling out. When you already are at 10 attempts last year, all season in 17 games, you only attempted 23. I would have lost on Jeopardy with that. I would have lost any trivia contest on that one. Never. That's an impossible number.
Their offense was such a juggernaut last season that they just punched it in.
And there you go.
And this
you have
season,
to be thinking about it.
It's early on, but they haven't done that. My fear, when you look at long term, was okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter against the Bucks, and it doesn't matter against the Patriots, because you're not expecting those teams to do anything this season. It's not going to matter against the Commanders because you're not really expecting those teams to do anything. So if you go out there and Jake Elliott hits 3 to 4 field goals, okay, you're probably winning the football game. But when you're playing Miami, when you're playing Buffalo, when you're playing Kansas City, it's going to matter. Like, those 3 need to become 7. Because if you have Jake Elliott going out there and 3 to 4 field goals, you're probably not winning against Miami because they're scoring 7.
You can't. I mean, Pat, that is really observant on your part about That is a great number. And I honestly wouldn't have looked at it this early of the season unless you brought it up. And it's a really telling number. And it might be the most damning number right now.
And there's three things to it. One is execution. Another is play calling, like you brought up, Pat. And the other one is recognition of who you have in the game. Now, Pat, you made a good term about I'm seeing the same thing twice and it's not working. Well, we saw Kenny Gainwell getting the ball in 4th and 2. Didn't work. In the fourth quarter, the second play, you're at 2nd and 6, 2nd and goal from the 6. And again, it's Kenny Gainwell up the middle for no gain.
Yes.
Okay, maybe, Pat, this is one I was really chirping of. Why is Gainwell getting all these carries? DeAndre Swift had you 130 yards.
Yeah, he was cruising.
You need short yardage. Why are you changing that up? So the threefold thing, it could be play calling, it could be execution, or it could be a simple fact of why are you not having your bigger, stronger, better back in the game right now to get you 2, 3, 4 yards? You're trying to force feed Kenny Gainwell.
I mean, early on, the decision to go for it on 4th and 2, I liked it. And then you hand it off to Kenny Gainwell. It was just very, very confusing. But look, week 3, you're not really going to care about the mistakes. I'm looking more so towards week 7, 8, 9, 10, when those mistakes need to be cleaned up. But it's just something they need to look at, and hopefully it gets rectified. And hopefully they do have a game this week like they had a game against Washington last season, albeit that game was in Washington. But that was really like their coming out party, I feel like, where they beat the brakes off of Carson Wentz. They sacked him like 9 times, and they looked really, really good.
Could you predict? Could one of us predict the lineup tonight for the Phillies? Like how much of the veterans, Bob? You know from covering sports, there's sometimes where a veteran will beg out of a game. Is tonight sort of one of them, where maybe the veteran players would be like, "Yeah, I'd rather sit this one out." Wouldn't he give them, like, sometimes you'll see a manager or a coach give a guy the option when the game doesn't matter. They've got 5 games left and none of them matter.
I would imagine they already knew in their minds last night before the champagne got popped who's in and who's out. Maybe tonight, God, you're probably going to have a Cave at first. You're going to have whoever that guy is at second, someone else at short.
This is a Rodolfo Castro game.
I'm going Franco with another dictator. Castro.
Edmundo Sosa will be either your shortstop or third base. Yeah, you're going to have
Pache.
Pache's in your outfield. They're going to have Rojas out there because he's not old enough to drink or whatever. But
I'm sure he sat there in the corner with a Coke.
Exactly.
He sat dancing on his own.
You're going to have like bleary-eyed Stubbs catching, and we'll see him hopping up and down at like the 2nd inning because he took a foul ball off a shin. Yeah, have you noticed every game that guy gets banged up?
Let's dive
into the Britton Covey of the Phillies.
Like diving into that, how many balls, pass balls will there be in this game? Over under 1.5. That he just
can't get to.
Yeah, like T-Mac.
I'll go over.
T-Mac will try to, the broadcast will do their best to kind of hide him, but we'll be sitting there going, yeah, that's just bad reaction time.
They got crossed up on that one.
Exactly. Yes,
he forgot what he called.
I can tell you, T-Mac does not like the leg out with Real Muto.
No, a lot of
them don't
like it.
Like, I know Ruben doesn't like it. T-Mac doesn't like. I'll tell you, the broadcast last night was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that they got Kruk in for it. Because I think
what was the deal?
His season was supposed to be done, but they brought him back.
So he worked for free last night.
Do you believe that? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe an adult beverage and some free food from Bull's Barbecue or something.
All I got to say, if we had a pregame show and it was a few of us, and they said, "Hey, why don't you go down to that?" Would we get paid?
Yeah.
Would the extra person get paid?
I don't know.
I don't know
if it works like that. That has to be checked out. I really don't want to ask those questions right now. I'd say just like let that one roll right off your tongue.
Well, yeah, October's right around the corner there, Johnny.
It's Tuesday. I'm thinking of Halloween, dude. Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially Thursday. The target being some really good sources saying last time slot, which I love a lot. I think it's great because think of it this way. Phillies versus Diamondbacks. You got the Diamondbacks in the later time zone, and you get that Phoenix market. Philly and Phoenix, those are 2 of the top 8 markets in the country, media. So you'd love to have that. The networks would love that. Phillies, Cubs, you get 2 of the top 8 markets in the country. The network would love that for prime time. So if you're looking to get tickets, Pat, you would suggest then, I mean, is it good enough now that you think about it? It's a pretty good source.
I still would wait.
You'd wait.
Here's people are waking up today and they're more likely to go on StubHub or SeatGeek or wherever today, Ticketmaster, and inquire as to I wonder how much. If you wait 2 or 3 days, yes. If you wait 2 or 3 days, no matter what the time is, you wait 2 or 3 days, it's likely to go down. The fever right now. I mean, think about our show, right? We primarily talked Phils.
Right.
Tomorrow's probably not going to be like that. If you wait till Saturday, I think that's Friday or Saturday. That's probably the sweet spot. Friday maybe not because people get paid, but the feverish nature of oh my God, this Phillies team. By Saturday, Pache will still be out there, and Jake Cave will be getting at bats. So you're not really going to be thinking about it too much, I don't think. But I think that it'll probably stay high now, go down, and then the wave will go back up.
Do I grab something do I go by the Wynwood Rally House on the way home? Which, by the way, is a great spot. You did a show there.
I did not, no.
Oh, I thought you didn't
that was Ray
Ray and Ricky?
Ray and Ricky, or Ty and Ricky,
or Connor.
Andy, I don't know. They didn't invite me.
It's beautiful.
Why wouldn't you go?
Well, I'm just thinking about that now because I'm imagining that it will look like like before a snowstorm. It'll look like the Acme before a snowstorm by the time we get to next Tuesday. Because everybody will be rolling into Rally House grabbing. Last year, they grabbing everything. Remember we did the shows live out there?
God, yeah. I think if you get there early afternoonish, you're going to be okay.
Well, I'll be fine. I can get there on the way home today.
What are you looking for?
I just think something new for Red October, but not. I want it to be evergreen. I want it to be something I can wear all the time. I do not like stuff that's labeled.
Yeah, I'm usually not a huge fan of the the dated. Although I'm saying that I'm wearing one now, but the dated shirt that is from a specific year.
People like that though. Some people like that as a memoir. I do not.
No, I'm not either. Usually I'm not. I mean, especially if it's they won the NLCS, for example. Why would you get a T-shirt if they won the NLCS?
Yeah.
Why don't you wait to see if they won the World Series? Because the NLCS, it's just a reminder that they lost.
Do you remember
precursor?
Do you remember doing those shows from Rally House? Before the Super Bowl?
I can't even remember the song we heard the other night. How the hell do you think I can remember those shows at Rally House?
So, Bobby,
it was so much fun there. And every time we went there, you have to grab something.
Oh, you do?
I mean, I got my son Tommy's socks. I got, this one a hoodie. I got myself a nice 3/4 zip. I think I bought
Connor got that
batting
white
gloves.
Connor got that white one that is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice item.
Everyone comments on that. It's man, that's good. I've never seen them. And that's one of the things with Rally House, too. You don't see them. You find stuff that you don't see elsewhere.
They have a very eclectic collection that you can find something for pretty much anybody. It's just impressive, too, because you walk in and it's oh, yeah, there's Westchester stuff.
Yes.
If you're a big Westchester Rams fan, they got
you
that.
Walk in, you'll know what you want. And you'll go, there it is.
Yes.
Right, Pat?
Yeah. We were doing
Bob, there it is.
It's a Bob Cooneyism of, there he is.
There it is. It's all for that. So.
Yeah, but I might stop by. I'm going
to do it. I'm going to go on the way home. But that one in Roxborough is tight, too, though, because I went over there when I was picking up something. Yeah. So it's a lot of good stuff.
That's my home court.
That's your home.
I might have to go. There's a couple jerseys I don't have of players I like.
You can find it. That Jake Cave one's going to really rock.
Stop.
It's really cool.
Stop it.
How about a Pache? Would you get one of him?
I'd rock a Pache like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
If they win a championship, would you get a Jake Cave just to have it? Jake Cave comes up with one. No, Jake Cave wins one game in the postseason with a big hit.
It's like Eric Bruntley.
Exactly. He comes up with one big moment in the postseason that makes him the Joe Blanton home run. If the Joe Blanton's home run was is legendary. Now he's a winery.
I have a Joe Blanton jersey. I would not be buying it. No, but if the trade-off was if the sports gods came down and said you Jake Cave jersey, or they don't win, then obviously I'm purchasing
they're
it.
Not
but
coming down here though.
My disdain for watching Jake Cave attempt to play baseball is very high.
If you had sommelier on your card, that was a good one, Bob.
If you had a choice of Pache or Cave to make the lineup, the postseason lineup, who's your choice?
Pache.
Yeah, I know you don't like Pache, but at least he can.
Steal bases. He can steal bases. Lay down.
He's a great defensive
They've
replacement.
used him to lay down a bunt. Tried to bunt. He's not very good at it.
I don't need to see anything of 31-year-old Jake Cave out there in his gray beard.
It's a good story, but hey.
It's not a good story. No, it's
old.
not. It's a horrible story.
Just for men.
It's a cool name.
I like that he
hitter
keeps
Pache is a better story.
I like that he keeps it. I like that he keeps the gray, though. It looks good on him.
I don't know why you hate Pache. He's 23 years old.
I don't know what it is
young.
either.
He's young and growing.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, Davis CPA Group, and make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. Remember to do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. I'm counting on it, by the way. 51 days left. 51 days I can get through this. Hey, we're going to have a great time. You know how I'll get through it? I'll listen to Chunas this afternoon. And then I'm going to listen to the best show ever. And we got Phillies baseball tonight. It'll be fun. Everybody keep an eye on that. We'll have a great day tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you.